anxiously awaiting.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we'll start the Marion County Commission meeting with a flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda for December 6th. First off, up here at 12:30, we'll start off with public comments. If we happen to have some online, we'll take them.
I do have one that was submitted ahead of time that you all have a copy of on the table.
Yes.
And to read out.
To do what?
To read during the meeting.
Could read the whole thing?
For the public comments.
Yeah. I'm happy to read it if you want me to, unless one of you wants to.
I haven't had a chance to read it. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. So.
Okay, so shall I just read it as a?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you would.
It's a concern on Olney Road.
Okay.
I didn't think you were coming.
I wasn't. We got it settled.
Okay.
Well, I thought it'd be a shame we didn't get paid last week and then the.
No, that's not his check.
All right, I'm ready to get back on.
Yeah, get back on track.
Okay, so here's the public comment. This is from Jerry Mendoza. I do have the name and the address as required. Let's see. When we moved into our residence in October of 2019, the road of 140th between Sunflower and Pawnee was asphalt that was in good condition. Just a little over 2 years later, we find that same road in a condition that is more gravel than actual good asphalt. There are several large potholes that have been present for quite some time now, and others that have been worsened by the rains that we had earlier this year. We have 2 young drivers that have started driving within the last year, and while we have taught them to be careful and observant drivers, their experience does not bode well for driving on 140th given the current condition of the road. I have been with them in the car at times when they have encountered some of the road issues, and it has alarmed me at the possible outcome that can be present in the future if the road conditions are not properly addressed. I say properly addressed because the road from time to time has seen some sort of repair attempt. However, those attempts usually consist of filling the holes with more gravel and moving on. This causes another issue for not only our drivers but others that use this road. When that new gravel gets put down, cars tend to experience fishtailing when those patches are encountered, and after a short time that hole reappears, sometimes larger than before. Not to mention the dirt issues that we have been recently experiencing. We bought the property in some respect because of the benefit of having a paved road to our house. Eliminating the constant dust issues inside our home and on our vehicles was a selling point. However, recently we have not experienced that at all. We constantly have dirty vehicles because of the gravel road, and we can't have the window open on most days without having dirt and dust in our house due to the gravel road. I understand that our road is not the only one in the county and that others are in as much need of repair as well, but having to see other residents that are much older than myself drive this road at a top speed of 30 miles an hour because they have to zigzag around potholes because of the possibility of causing damage to their vehicles or even worse, resulting in a fatal accident, does not sit well with me as a taxpayer. Which brings me to my final point. The road conditions have been a source of concern to me for quite some time, but recently I received our yearly tax bill. This encouraged me to write this letter. Like I mentioned before, we have 2 young drivers in our household that are in the early stages of becoming experienced drivers. As a result, I have had to have numerous alignment repairs done on not only the children's vehicles, but my car, my wife's car as well. I'm curious to know if instead of sending in my scheduled payment for the first tax payment, I sent an invoice that included all the repairs that have been incurred due to the road conditions. Would that encourage the repairs to be done quickly? I say this because I'm not the only resident in this area that is contemplating doing just that. Again, I know that this road is not the only road in need of repair, but I also know that the repairs that have been done do not provide adequate safety and comfort that any resident of this county deserves and has a right to have provided to them. And then he said, please feel free to reach out with questions or for further discussion.
Okay, everybody got a copy of that? Okay. Thank you, Jerry, for sending it in. Only comment that I can tell you right up front is, I think right before you bought that road was spent a lot of money on reconditioning and stuff. So it probably was in a lot better shape than it is in today. That's the only thing that I know that because the railroad built the railroad crossing and we spent $100 and some thousand on that road to just more or less rebuild. We didn't rebuild it, we patched it with dumping just more asphalt material and reshaping it at that time. So that road has not been rebuilt recently. So thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. Taking under advisement. Anything else up there on board?
I see no other comments.
No person in the room. So we'll move ahead with agenda approval. Does anybody have anything to add?
Somewhere near the end of executive session,
Okay.
contract negotiations.
Okay, after discussion of trash and ARP. Okay.
You just fine.
Executive session. For contract negotiations. Okay, we don't have any place to, I don't know what all Randy's bringing in. I know one thing Randy's bringing in, we may get into some other discussion in that section there. Otherwise, on your table today, this is an old drawings that we had for over there. And like I said, we may get into that with Randy Frank today. See, so we'll just leave it. Otherwise, I would like to put, if nothing else, I'll put it under discussion for commission comments at the end so we know what this is. Okay? Anybody else have any changes? Are all those okay? Everybody? Okay?
I think that, just my opinion, but I think that fits into the ARP and infrastructure.
Okay, just the ARP. Okay.
So it should be tied in with that pretty easily.
Okay. Okay. Maybe down here, yeah. Yeah, I overread the ARP, yeah. Okay. So moving ahead with this, with the only one addition, the executive session will be between commission discussion after the ARP and the public comments, and Brad will have an executive session then. Okay, so administrative business.
Okay. In your packet, you have several revenue reports. Just to follow up on that KAC question that you guys had about the election that's coming up. The information's here in your packet, but they're saying this would be an affiliate member that would have voting rights. And then I've got an overview of what that association is. I've gotten a little bit more information since then. And I think that actually I would like to have a membership for Marion County in that association. It's very inexpensive. So.
Well, good, so the research paid off.
Yes, and so here are the bylaws of the KAC that outline who gets to vote and who doesn't. So I just provided that for your information.
I also appreciate you listing the board members, because that list also includes a number of counties that then would be members. So it shows a number of other counties surrounding us that are already involved.
And I asked today, they said that they have 22 right now, that they're hoping to get more again, because they kind of bumped down when COVID hit. But they have counties as large as Sedgwick and as small as like Miami and there's others. They didn't send me a list of counties, but they range in sizes. They're not all large counties.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, was we gonna go ahead and make the vote today? Is that what we?
No, I was just providing that for your information. I think you should do the vote when everyone's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We did receive the survey for that memorial area at the county lake, so that was in your packet. And just wanted you to be aware of it. And I have the minutes of November 30th.
Do I hear a motion for those minutes? For November 30th?
I move to approve minutes, November 30th.
Okay. Is there a second? Second by Jonah. First motion by Dave Mueller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0 today. I'm counting 4 fingers. Going around the back, right?
That works for me.
The other time they were okay with something going on.
We do have some change orders. There were actually 3 that were not signed on payday. They were behind one of those forms. And then I have some current year ones and prior year ones for today. So there's 3 sets of ones that need signatures.
Okay. You know what? I think we could probably, as long as we keep them together here,
Yep.
keep that one. Pass that down, start that one. Somebody can start that one, and I'll start one here. And let's keep them together.
No, just leave them paper clipped.
Man.
We'll really throw it on. Go ahead and sign on the second line to begin with.
It was work. All right, I'm just gonna pick these up from Dave when he gets done.
Okay,
Yes,
sure.
Dave.
What's going on back there?
Right. Something else going on behind somebody's back.
I just wanna see if you guys
In
can,
the back.
I just wanna see if you guys can think here a little bit, you know?
I don't like having somebody looking over their shoulder sometimes.
Boy, you change things around and people get upset here a little bit.
There we go, more behind the back.
Okay.
Here, I'll give you these, you give me those.
There'll be 4 signatures today too, so let's be able to plan on it.
Those were our little things we gave out at the Christmas party last year. We had some left
Is there
over.
any caps on them?
No.
Oh, okay.
Surprisingly. Although you guys should look at the cat in my office.
Uh-oh.
That's still behind my monitor. It's got
These are just Jonah.
some decorations
I
on
think
it.
you got yours.
This one's done, just got fluid on, let me put it right in the book here, see if it's.
Those are just the sheets.
Okay.
I tried to pull them out this time so it would be more obvious. Sharon's very thorough. She likes to include a lot of paperwork in here, so.
How gonna be done too?
Uh-oh. Well, you'll top one for you.
Let's get closer.
good.
Okay, so
Sure
this,
pass it around behind.
this back
Yeah.
one apparently doesn't have lines, but I still need you to sign it.
That last one?
The
You need
last
some.
one.
That last one on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just make your own.
Make your own lines?
Yeah, sorry
Okay,
about
we'll
that.
do
I'm
that.
not quite sure why it didn't have lines.
That's why we didn't sign it.
Yeah, it probably is.
There was an extra page there.
Come back around again.
Oh, nice.
Sorry.
Good job. The governor will see those.
Figure out you're quite resourceful.
Yeah.
Like old man drew the lines. Crooked.
Connect the dots.
Awesome, thank you. On payday, we had an error. We had the county counselor's check did not print out and was not on the report. And so we did go ahead and issue that. We have an amended payday figure from last week, which is $1,102,459.38 that needs to be approved. And then I also have early checks for today.
That was
So-
not the amount of my check.
Well, that's why I wanted to see it in writing here. Exactly.
It's probably behind that tab.
On this,
Behind that next tab there is what we had before.
oh, so
And
that's
then-
why, okay, all right. I will accept
So,
that.
yeah, it was $3,500 less than the current total here. So if I can get a motion to approve the
The total?
$1,102,459.38.
I move to approve the amended payday amount.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. So you want us to sign this one first?
Yes, please.
Go ahead with checks and I'll send the book around all at once.
Okay, sounds good. In the future, if we have an issue like that, I've already talked to Ashley, we won't just amend the number, we'll wait till we do an early check so that it goes through the regular procedure. It was an administrative error, but I wasn't very comfortable that the amount changed without a prior approval from the board, so we won't be doing it that way again.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And
And then the early checks, we have early checks in the amount of $16,715.41.
okay, general has $1,963, ambulance is $84.63, aging is $40.01, employee benefits is $23.79, park $52.31, transfer station waste $2,800. East Shore Improvement District General, $269.67. Then Colfax Fire District 3 General, $11,482 even, total $16,715.41. Do I hear, I'll make that motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second, Mueller.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We finally got Colfax Fire's lease purchase all done,
Good.
and the funds are in. They're
Good
doing their
deal.
amended budget for the current year, so.
Two places to sign on that, this one. This one, then the tab behind them last month.
So January it starts a new bill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't be quite as heavy as that one.
so.
Okay, thanks.
So,
You should have two to
Oh, we got
sign,
one.
so one right behind them and then we tab.
since he's paid now.
Yes. Okay, yeah, even though that was just an administrative correction and it's a recurring expense,
Yeah.
that's the reason we did that. Okay, approval of pay application number 5. We have pay application number 5 for the heated dock project in the amount of $30,096.
Must be after the, or after all expenses.
And here, I'll give you the paper if you would like. It's after all the expenses.
Okay. What was that for exactly?
It's on the second page shows all of the information as far as what's done. and what's-
Wall, roof panels, foam insulation, hollow doors, and.
Okay, here we go.
fee. Right?
Yep.
33,440. So it comes up on mine.
And the actual payment due is the $30,096
Yeah.
even.
10, the retainage. Ah, gotcha.
Okay.
So $30,096.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Jonas, second by Dave Mueller, and conversation is then, what is left before we?
Balanced finish, including retainage, is $70,869. 32 cents.
All righty, have a motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Okay, and then Randy, if you just sign on the very bottom, there's not a line, or I just have you sign on the
Okay.
line. You're just having to sign everywhere with no lines today.
Yeah, that's all right. Anybody want to see this sheet here, or you got it on, you got it in the machine?
Yeah, it's all in the packet. The next one I have is the pay application number 5 for the EMS building. And I keep a spreadsheet, I keep track of all of the approvals of the amounts and whenever you approve a change order or a pay application. But what I wasn't doing was going back and checking them out against what we paid actually. And so we did have one that we paid the wrong amount, and so we actually paid extra beyond what the actual request was. And the reason, he has reduced it from our outstanding amount here, so it's all fine. It's just that I was questioning why the amount was different than I expected, and that's why. It's because we paid
Portion of retainage.
a portion of, well, not the retainage, but we paid the 37,000 twice instead of paying the 35,000 on the one. So they didn't look at the right place on the sheet. So we paid $2,033.10 over what he had asked us to pay. And so he's reduced it out of the remaining total. So it's still, all the approvals are okay, but I just wanted to make you aware of it. And when we pay this, then we should be right on the right amount. So the new pay application for this current payment, after that $2,033 is reduced out of the outstanding total, is $20,101.94.
So you want approval for
The amount he's asking for there, the $20,101.94.
amount of $20,101.94. I'd make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Dave Mueller again? What, they can do
Showing us
that.
quiet today.
Yeah. Hell, motion and
Deep
second by,
concentration.
motion by me, second by Dave Mueller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. Again.
Okay, okay.
I was reading through the last minutes and so
Ah.
that was on every line, so I thought, better let somebody else have a play at this.
There you go.
Okay, we have our budgeted transfers. The final one for this year for Road and Bridge to special equipment. And you might remember that at budget time, we reduced the amount we were gonna transfer by $50,000 for this last payment, when that has been done here. So instead of transferring $133,000, we're transferring the $83,333. We have the general money that goes into capital improvement. So that comes from a portion of road and bridge sales tax, and then we have our 7 mills that we raise in the general fund that's transferred. So those amounts are the final 1/3 of that. And then we do have a one-time year-end transfer from the noxious weed fund to the noxious weed capital outlay fund in the amount of $5,000. And all of these are budgeted. So we just need approval on
Do
those.
they each need a separate motion, or can they all be?
They probably can be done together. You'll have to sign them all separate.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And I would make the motion to approve all of the transfers as outlined.
Second.
Sure.
Have a motion by Dave Mueller to approve all the transfers that's approved on the budget, second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 4-0.
Tina has to write them all out. We don't have to say it.
You vote out.
Tina announced them, so we,
We're approving what was announced.
I have several items of business from Road and Bridge. So we have a big stack of utility permits for approval. Most of these are for Evergy, and then there are some for Atmos Energy. There's 2, I believe.
yes,
for
should
Atmos.
be 2. I'm gonna abstain from the 2 from Atmos Energy. It's road bores. This one's on Sunflower Road, both of them's on Sunflower Road. How many copies you got of each? 48, 49.
Usually we just get one
Sure.
copy. The number at the top right, is it the same number?
2 separate numbers.
2 separate numbers, 48,
Permits.
49,
Okay.
but it looks like they got the same location. Maybe they're gonna do both of them. I'm not on that, so.
I'd make a motion for the vice chair to sign applications 2148, 2149.
Second?
Okay, have a motion by Jonah, second by Dave Mueller to sign the 2 Atmos, vice chairman to sign the 2 Atmos Energy road bores. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And abstain, I abstain. 3-1.
And is the motion to authorize, or to approve the permits and authorize the vice chair to sign?
Yes.
Okay. Just clarifying.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right.
Thought I'd go
Now we
without
have-
saying if I'm having them sign it.
Now we have a stack of Atmos Energy, or Evergy Energy to sign. Is every one of them Evergy? Looks like it. That's why they're all clipped together. I'd make a motion to approve all the road bores for Evergy 42 through
47.
47.
Want to take that clip off or that help?
No, that's 47, yeah, 32 through 47.
The other one's being 48, 49, I think.
So I'll have that motion to approve these.
Second.
Jonah, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 4-0. And would you like me to sign them? Dave, how many times do we have to sign?
I just signed them twice.
Okay.
There's only one place on each that needs
Yeah.
signed right now by the chair.
You got initial every page, so.
Usually we do.
Yeah.
Everything you read is one. Top and
Oh,
bottom.
the back page, Dave, is where it says acceptance, that usually comes back later.
Yeah.
It does?
Yeah, that's all right, you've accepted it already, that's good. Just, those are the ones that,
Said county.
Well, I don't know that you ever get those back to sign the acceptance. I
haven't.
mean, Bryce always signs them, but I
Yeah.
don't ever see them coming back to you.
I was gonna say, that's where we're supposed to see them.
Are you wanting that to do?
No, I don't, I think as long as Bryce
Okay,
does it.
all right.
Do they ever come back up to a period?
No.
I didn't think so. Okay, well, let's just put the else on these meeting. During
Okey-doke.
meeting.
The next thing that I have is the agreement between the county and KDOT for this project 57C 5069-01, which is the, I believe it's on the high-risk road improvements. And this is the intersection of, it's 190th and Nighthawk.
Yeah.
It's the intersection piece.
Yeah.
So that's the,
But- This is the okay to go ahead and.
this is the actual agreement. You've already approved that project.
Right, okay.
So this is the agreement between the county and KDOT.
And Brad's already looked it over?
I make a motion to approve the agreement.
Second.
Have a motion by Jonas, second by Dave Mueller to sign the agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. How many places?
Yeah, I'm
Please,
sorry.
Back, page 9.
I went to the back, but,
Page 9, not quite the back.
ah.
Is it page 10?
No, page
No, it's
10.
page
Thank you.
9.
Oh. I was
Just-
like, how am I off?
Just messing you up.
When you get done reading it, you can sign
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll keep the rest of it.
I went through most of it.
This is pretty standard with the state.
Yeah.
You normally give them on every one of the states, wherever they match any funds. I struggled with that the first year. I was trying to figure out why we beholden.
Other than the, the location and general, financial terminal
Mhm.
things, 90% of it is identical.
I've seen the same agreement.
It always
5 or 6
appropriation
times.
language, or not appropriation, but everything else is usually the same.
Resolution.
I don't believe I got the RFP in here for that. Sorry, everyone on the electronic meeting, you're probably getting dizzy with me looking through all these pages.
It's a speed gig.
Yes, okay, so I am sorry, I intended to put this draft RFP for the tax sale attorney in your packet, so I'll get some copies for you.
Okay.
review. And then just bring it back in. Thank you. Okay, so that's forthcoming as soon as we have copies. And in the meantime, I do believe we have the public forum and the real estate tax foreclosure policies for approval.
And we probably should just go ahead and interlineate right now, because you'd already instructed to do so. What Tina had, and they made some changes, corrective changes grammatically, et cetera, to, was the second to the last one. I had not forgotten, but I didn't send that to her. It shouldn't say forum, it should say comment, based upon the consistency with what we have on ours.
So in this, it said public forum here, it said public comments one time, and it said public forum the rest of the time. So I just changed it all to say public forum, and we'll just say public forum on our agenda, if that's okay with the board. I figured that's the simplest than trying to change everything.
Allows me to, it's all part of the master plan. I wanted you to change it to forum anyway. So
Is that all right?
I'm good with that. That's what I'm used to hearing.
Small c.
Because I was just like, okay,
Small
let's just call
c.
it.
Wow.
Okay. Everybody agree to
Forum
that?
is fine.
Forum is fine?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If not, we can get,
No.
I can do a search and replace.
No,
There's
I
no
was just
reason why
like-
forum would get us into any
It's
issue.
probably the better, more appropriate term.
It's the one the courts use, so I kind of usually just hearing it.
Okay, thanks.
How many times am I gonna say public comments?
It's okay if you say it, but I'm gonna have it
But how
on the
much-
agenda.
How much longer are you gonna be chairman?
Just a few days here.
Yeah.
30 days. Then somebody else is gonna step up, or less than that, yeah, 30 days.
So you can still, you can still say.
Not necessarily. I don't think there's any rule that says we can't vote him back in.
Oh, there you go. He just kept saying that he wasn't.
Well, he can always decline it, I guess.
Yeah,
think that's
I can
that-
decline.
Yeah.
Not really.
Then you
No,
have to,
no.
then he has to use forum.
Yeah, if they vote you in, you're kind of stuck.
Well, this isn't a fair job. Let's move on here.
You might
Okay,
have
so
to
we
issue a
need-
directive.
Tina, go
We
ahead.
need action to approve and or adopt this policy effective today.
Okay. I would make that motion to approve the public forum policy as of today and the, are we gonna talk about both of them?
Let's do one at a time.
Okay, public forum policy as of today that Brad's presented.
I'll second that.
Have a second by Dave Mueller. Any discussion?
As far as what Kent was saying, he just wanted to make sure nothing was perceived as suppression, and I did not read anything in this in any which way, form, or fashion. In fact, it actually gives more weight to the public having a voice, so.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make sure that it's known and follow up with Kent's.
Okay, you still have the motion on the floor and second by Dave. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Do you, so we just put the effective date, do you want the chairman to sign in this box too, or not?
Yeah, I think so, just
Okay.
because the way we've got these set up, I normally have them signed either on the very end or.
Yeah, and there's no signature thing here, so if we just put it here, okay.
So that will go to the handbook then next. and part of the handbook.
Well, that's just, that'll be a
Policy.
standalone policy, and
Okay.
I'm just gonna start compiling
Yep,
these
we need a policy.
into,
Yeah.
well, there'll be a lot more that you're gonna have to do, so.
Okay.
Okay, and then the next one that I have is the tax foreclosure policy.
See that the dates were in there? December 2nd.
I checked with Susan again after Tina asked about placing it in the agenda. She had Tina Greening also read through it, and they were fine. The only thing that we had talked about clarification on, and it really, it's somewhat implicit, is using the local abstractor for purposes of doing that. It's not, they can go to other, Security First has kind of bought up all of these in the area anyway, but quite frankly, they're always going to default, I call them, they default to the local. So Roger would be the one doing them anyway. So,
But Do we want that in the policy? Because what happens if Roger defaults?
It's not in the policy.
It's
It's not?
No.
Okay. Okay. as long as-
That's their preference, and we kind of just dealt with it. I just wanted to make sure you knew we discussed it.
And for whatever reason, I'm not saying that I don't want to either or anything like that. I'm just saying that like in case something does happen, that you don't have to change something to go and get the job done at some time or another in the future. So,
I don't see that in here.
No.
It's not in this
Okay.
policy.
okay. With that being said, do I have any discussion, open discussion before we make a motion?
I think it's a good policy, long overdue, so I would move that we approve the tax sale policy.
Tax foreclosure policy.
Tax foreclosure
Dave
policy.
Mueller made a motion to
I'll second.
approve the tax foreclosure. Do I hear a second? Jonah, a second? With that being said, anybody have any final discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 4-0.
Judy brought those in, did I send them? Did I send out around those, that draft RFP?
No.
She brought it in.
I know.
They got stuck in the bottom.
Oh, here they are. Oh my goodness. Now, in this RFP, I did not include utilizing a local title company, and that is where I think that you would, if you want to specify that that's a requirement, we need to put that in here. And that's how you can require it, but not have it in the actual policy
Right.
itself. When you go out for bids, you can say that that's the expectations. This, I think we need to change, not notice to owners, but notice to, what do we call it? What do you say?
Parties in interest.
Can I just do it that way?
Mm-hmm.
Please.
In interest. Remember the one that I suggested we should probably put in?
It was local, it wasn't local.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm just following.
Open for discussion here. Anything you find, please bring it up to point out.
Yeah, at the timeline, you wanted these to go out,
Yeah.
like, right soon here, and
Yeah.
then,
I mean, is it a 1-year contract?
what I put here, which we could change, on the proposal requirements, and then I put would be for a 1-year contract with the option to renew annually for up to 2 additional years. And
Would you get a
then,
better deal if you proposed a 2 or 3-year contract?
yeah, but what if everybody hates each other?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
why I put it to be where that could, with that option to
Yeah, it could be
renew. That
something.
means that if everybody's happy, then we just can renew
Right.
it.
It does involve an attorney after all.
That makes more sense anyway, 'cause it's
Sorry.
1 year, and then there's some elections coming up this year. So you're not committing to any future commission. And then
Yeah,
2
binding.
years, yeah.
I mean, we
It's
can
a
change
services
it, but
agreement.
that's
No,
the
fine.
reason that I
Because
did it that way.
In a business where I could give you a better price if I'm gonna keep it for 3
Right,
years.
right.
For
I
1
know.
year, it costs a lot to
Get set
get
up.
set up.
Yeah.
and stuff like
Again, that could be, that could
This
change.
gives them an incentive to do a better job the first year, so they get renewed.
No, it's fine, I was just,
We're probably gonna have a little sticker shock, just to mention that. I've called a lot of the other counties in the area, and I checked what Susan charged you, and unless we find somebody that still does it for anything close to that, it's gonna be significantly more.
Yeah.
You and Tina talked about, was there potential change for what you wanted?
Well, the only change he mentioned to me was to utilize, to put in here to utilize local
Local
title.
titles.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
Susan
So
was
I guess that's what, I would like the board's guidance on, whether you want to include that or not in this request for proposals.
I would think be up to the person who got the bid.
The only reason I'm raising it was Susan raised it and indicated they would strongly prefer, I think was the term, I hope I'm not misstating that,
Right.
that it be the local. And I think that's partially because of their having to work with whomever it is, and would rather it was someone right here, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little outside my realm as far as bids go, you know, it's a little different world, so.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be included in here. That's up to you all, what you want.
She could make that request of whoever is awarded the bid and tell them that it's really a preference for us, and I don't know, speaking from my own experience with those, that,
Do we are we committed to take the low bid?
No.
So that leaves it up to discretion that way. And you could always keep in mind a weighted value. So if, you know, local comes within a certain percentage of low bid, they can still get it.
Oh,
We're
no.
talking about the title work.
We're talking about
which is
title
not
work.
the
Oh, okay.
actual.
yeah.
Not the background stuff that this.
We could
No,
add to
prefer.
this, instead of adding that there's a preference to utilize the local company, we could just put in a requirement that they specify what title company will be used.
Oh, so this is for the
This is for the
firms to
attorney or
know
the firm.
to use local.
I like Tina's idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just to
it was-
specify what
yes.
title company they
Yes.
will use.
I think
Do-
that's a fair request.
And then do we state in there that local is preferred or not? Do you-
I would say so.
Yes.
Because that's certainly the one thing she mentioned, so if they've got an interest.
Right, but it's also the board that's hiring the
Yes.
attorney, so.
Yeah. Just trying to keep everyone.
What happened just off the
Yes.
wall if a bid come in from an out-of-county firm that's 25% lower?
That's up to the board to decide.
Oh, we don't have to, we take whatever bid we want.
Yeah.
That's correct, and this is an independent contractor, all of whom we're gonna presume, based upon the request here, are properly insured. So I don't know that that is as major an issue as it is in certain other kinds of instances. You get somebody who's adept and has the skill set to do them efficiently.
Hopefully we do our due diligence and check each person out before we
Yeah.
accept the
Correct.
bid.
Correct.
They are required to provide references as well.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
who's hiring Mo to make any difference?
And what really, as you go through this process, is when you see a vacant lot that so much work has been spent on a vacant lot, sitting there at idle, and if, you know, what you said, we're gonna spend more money now for the vacant lots.
And I hope we don't, I mean,
But
it will be,
if-
we'll get
if it
something,
does
but I
go
think
through,
it's,
yeah.
based on the average cost, and then talking with several of the other counties, in terms of even some of them saying, you know, we got by more cheaply than I expect us to in the future. Just because there's a lot that goes into doing it and getting it done correctly.
And I wish with that, if that happens, I wish we could set the minimum and get that minimum to help pay for that.
Mhm.
In a way you can, because the county's allowed to, because we have a land bank. The county is allowed to bid on a certain property for the taxes owed, and we can go up to that level.
Well,
But that means
also-
we may own it too.
You may get it too, no matter what, if you raise it, put a minimum on there of so much. I mean, that's what happened before.
Yeah.
You get more properties, just people won't bid on that at the
But
minimum.
I think right now we just need to get this approved so we can get the
Yeah.
ball rolling.
So with that, I would move to approve the RFP for real estate tax foreclosure sales with the addition of a list who's doing the title work and preference given to local provider.
Dave has a motion on the floor. Did everybody understand?
I'll second that.
Dave Crowfoot, second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. I'll
One
get those
last-
little tweaks done and
Yeah.
get it sent out. Yeah.
It's too late now.
No, this is
No,
something
no,
different.
that was part of your motion. It is not too late to put those in there.
As I looked through some of this, especially with our foreclosure policy, I did find that we do occasionally have, and I didn't realize that, and talking to Susan mentioned it too, issues when someone is a successful bidder in terms of how they pay, if they pay. We're probably going to address that. She asked about some requirements that she can in fact put in place in terms of how it's paid and the tender and how it's done. Probably going to make sure we do that because we've had some that.
It said in there, in the policy that we just adopted though, cashier's check
Yes,
only.
and that's my intent. She asked about several things related to when they tender that I didn't specify quite as specifically, but I don't see that that'll be an issue.
Cashier's check only.
That's what was in the policy.
Did it that way.
No Bitcoins.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about.
If they give a whole Bitcoin for one of these properties, I would
personal
take
checks.
it.
I'm thinking about personal checks, then let's cut that out.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll give them the
It
cash
does
for
create-
the property if they give me
But
that
it's,
Bitcoin.
you're notified in
They
advance,
probably
so
won't
if
change.
you're bidding,
So let's take that sale that day and I just bought something at $675. How do I get a cashier's check for that day? Unless I have cash on me.
or made arrangements in advance.
So
That's
you
the
can
same-
say you're up to so many dollars, have a bank
You
say
have
that,
a letter of credit.
letter of credit or something to that effect?
Actually, I'll just give you the example of the last one I did in Sedgwick County with another city that was buying some property, and there was no wiggle room. By 5 p.m. that day, the sale was at 1, so you had to drive back from Wichita to wherever the heck you needed to go to whatever bank and get that cashier's check and get it back there, and the cutoff was 5 p.m. and there was no negotiation. For that reason, they've had too many instances where check didn't clear.
Check
Now
bounced.
I
what?
know that in the last sale, somebody had to go get a cashier's check and they
Yeah.
just went and got it and came back.
Yeah, it's not,
But somebody banks at Tampa.
Which
Well,
way
I
is
mean,
the
the
sale
Tampa
at
State
10
Bank's
o'clock in the
here.
morning?
But I mean, is there any other, Burns Bank? There's no other bank or Peabody Bank, Vintage Bank?
Well, again, you make arrangements ahead of time.
That you call them maybe and maybe.
But there's ways to do it.
sure.
Did that traveler's check fall into a cashier's check?
That I don't, well, it's in the same category under the Uniform Commercial Code, yes. Now,
So
whether
you
we
could go
choose
get
a
traveler's
traveler's,
checks.
yes, you can get a money order, but again, you've got to know your amounts.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, I
Well,
don't
I'm-
disagree that it's an extra step, but it assures us that payment has been made.
And I like that because I will tell you that I've heard that, well, we gotta let the checks clear, and that was 30 to 60 days delay
Yep.
of getting rid of it. And so I understand that part of it.
Process.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to make it equal for the guy that comes from north end of the county, south end, east, west, as in the center, or if you live here in Marion or Hillsborough, you can run right back over and get your back.
Once you've been through it, you learn, you make your
And
arrangements.
they do have the ability to work with one of the local banks too, that their bank simply, heck, most of them are here anyway, but, they can.
They get a wire transfer and just one back to the other.
From one to the other,
Oh,
and pull a cashier's check
Okay.
right here.
okay, see, I've been thinking of that, okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's good. We'll do that. Sounds
Just
good.
your phone set in the parking lot. Don't have to-
Everybody understands, right? Everybody's on board? Yep.
Okay, the last two things that I had, if you want to delay to the end, we can. It's mainly some discussion that just needs to happen regarding the land bank, some things we need to do and have in place before you do your organizational meeting, and then the update and request of help of the commissioners for the property upgrade. So we can talk
Yeah,
about
we'll
that
do that.
after.
Do those being.
Yep, and so then, that's all I have.
Okay.
This resolution that's in your packet is under Randy Frank's time.
Okay.
So-
We'll go ahead and start with Randy then, get him in here.
Is he out there?
Yeah, he's out here. He's got a visitor right now.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Trying to keep us a little on schedule, just a little bit. Over.
That's okay. Sorry about that.
What's the resolution?
24, 2021-24.
Go ahead, Randy.
I'm handing out, this is the layout of the building we have currently for storage of vehicles over in Hillsborough, Countryside Feed. Countryside Feed called me Wednesday of last week and says, we're taking back our building. So we're being evicted, basically. It's their building.
You know it was coming.
It's business, you know, I understand that. And I spoke with Brandon, and he explained to me that the problem they're having is like everyone else, is getting supplies in to make the feed that they give to the farmers, or to sell to the farmers. They can't get it in quick enough, so then they have to have more space
Warehouse.
to store it, warehouse it, and make the feed. And so we're not the only one that's losing our storage space. This is the equipment that we have in there. The tan colored things, those are 6-foot storage shelves that I have supplies on. Also, the assessor's office has 3 of those shelves full of stuff that they're storing there, paperwork and stuff. So they got stuff in there as well. The sheriff has stuff in there as well, and I didn't list the 2 big pop-up tents that we got from COVID that are in there. But anyhow, this is the equipment that we're going to need to move by the end of January, and we're not real sure where we're going to put it.
What's the height? What's the tallest piece of equipment?
14 feet, 60 foot long.
14 foot is the tower trailer?
It's a tower trailer, yeah.
Okay.
That big long black
Gotta be
thing
less
there.
than that, doesn't it?
Is the antenna laid over?
What's that?
13.6 is the height of, or 12.6 is your height down the road. It's gotta be less than that.
Well,
No.
They
13,
said it was
13.6 you can go.
13.6? Is it 12.6 or 13.6? 13.6.
13.6.
I was told 14, so I don't know. I haven't measured it myself. It's a little tall for me.
Yeah.
But that long line that you see there, that's in there, that's the rest of the antenna that hangs off the back end of the trailer.
Yes.
So that you know what that is.
Okay.
So anyhow, we're in a bit of a pickle, trying to figure out where we're going to store all this stuff.
So what about the building that the city, Marion owns, where they sold body shop?
I'm not sure what building you're talking about.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, he don't know Arlie's Body Shop probably.
Up there by the camper place,
Co-op, or not co-op.
56.
it's a blue building.
Tire place up in the industrial park, Randy.
Okay.
Behind John Deere.
All right.
It used to be
I haven't
called
honestly
Parties.
looked at it, to be honest with you.
Don't go to that part of town, huh?
I
I
haven't.
thought
Well,
they
it's
had-
not that I'm going to Port Town, I
Don't they
didn't either.
have agreements with somebody already or doing things with it?
No, they did with the other wind farm, this
Yeah.
other one hadn't stepped up to the plate yet.
Yeah. What's the door height there at the fairgrounds? Do you remember?
12 feet. That one I did measure, I could do that one.
12 feet on the south
Yeah.
side?
So that one.
And well, and on the north side, it comes down and
Yeah,
it
it's
dips
way lower.
down. And again, so it's.
North side's way smaller door.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
South
that one I could measure, I can get the tape on top
I
of
mean,
that one.
that one's for sale,
Oh, is that for sale?
yeah.
I honestly haven't seen the building you're talking about, I'll drive up there.
Yeah.
Would everything else fit in the fairgrounds except for this? Just in case we need to split them up? Say we got a place for the tower to go, but nothing else would fit. I'm
Oh,
talking-
the rest of the buildings?
Rest-
Yes,
rest-
yeah, it'll fit in
Yeah,
there,
all
yeah.
short
Now, my
and long.
question is, one thing that's been brought up, Randy, is we have 2 trailers now. Is it necessary for 2 trailers, the red one and the white one? both?
Redwood does a whole different thing. They are an alternate dispatch center, is what they do. It has all the dispatch, the toning equipment, and everything else.
It's still
Yeah, the
up
trailer
to
does.
date, the equipment is? The equipment's still up to date, is it?
Yes. As far as I know that when we transitioned to 800, they went and put all that stuff in there.
From red to white, we're not talking about tower trailer, we're just talking
No,
about.
we're talking about red and white, yes. The command trailer and the communications.
The tower trailer that you see there then must be only 800? Is that all it is?
No, it's 800 UHF and VHF. It's got all that stuff in there.
So we've got 2 trailers sitting there that does the same thing?
No. The tower trailer is nothing but an extra tower.
Okay,
It's
that's
not.
what I asked.
Oh, I misunderstood
Yeah.
you. I was thinking
Yeah.
of the red tower. I'm sorry. Yes. All it is, it's a 200-foot tower.
Okay, I thought it had radios and stuff in it.
It does, but the radios were there. There's no one to sit there and operate them. The radios are there as a repeater. That's what the tower's for.
Okay, I understand you.
Yeah.
So you need 2 pieces. You need the tower trailer and
Right.
one or the other, the communications or the command, and the communications and the command are still
Right.
separate
And
separate functions.
Right. That's right. It's the communication trailer, like walking into the dispatch across the street.
Right.
It has all that stuff in there. It has the ability to tone out radios and everything else. My trailer doesn't have that because we didn't spend the money on that.
The command trailer has that.
Does not.
No, it does not.
The red trailer.
Communications,
The communications trailer
okay, is the red one.
is the red one, yes.
Okay.
Which is red? which
Sorry,
is
sorry.
black?
Command trailer is white.
I should have painted them different colors.
New and old.
I'm sorry.
I gotta write it down so I know that.
The communications trailer is the one with all the radios in it.
Okay.
It's the alternate PSAP or dispatch center, which one you want to call it.
Okay.
And the command trailer is the one that we just recently bought.
Right.
The communications trailer can go out and at a scene and operate by itself.
It can, yes.
Tire trailer is if a tire goes down or something like that to set up emergency tower for.
In the
region.
In the region.
In the region, yeah, it can go anywhere in
not
the
just
state.
for the
Yeah,
county.
Not
we
just for the county.
can go within the region, South Central region.
Yeah.
But we can put it up in the air and you'll catch all the other antennas and start bouncing signals.
Can we give it to somebody else?
What's that?
Can we give this tire trailer to some other EMS?
Well,
Emergency.
I'm not the Band-Aid guy, I'm the emergency management guy.
But
But yes, but I understand what you're saying.
Somebody else
I understand
can
what you're saying, yeah. That's up to the sheriff, because he signed for all that equipment. He signed for the dually and that particular thing.
Yeah, well-
So that'd be his call.
The commission was asked first, Randy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the commission approved it to go ahead and do it. They
Oh, okay.
brought it to us and stuff, so.
That was before I arrived, so I
Yeah,
don't know.
right.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting at is when these come out, there was two, I think there's another trailer, right, somewhere?
Reno County,
Reno County.
just like it.
Yeah, and they gave us some permission to ask, they asked us whether we could handle it at that time and stuff, we could. I don't remember where it was stored before there.
Rob said that it was actually in the shed in Pilsen, the road and bridge shed.
Really? It didn't,
He
it didn't go in there?
said it was in there, and then it was also under the pole barn over here on is it Copel Street?
Yeah.
Copel Street, in there.
Okay.
And that would work too, because there's ways to plug it in there. They have electricity in that building to plug the trucks in.
Yeah, up the sheds.
Yes.
That Copel Street, yes, it was up there.
And so, if that was the option, because I called Bryce and I don't think he's in today, he hasn't returned my call, so.
Right.
But I called him and asked that question, and we talked last week about it, and he thought he'd let me get back to me, but I think that if we can get one of those bays, we could put the tower trailer in it and both the generators. Because it'll set far enough back, we put the generators at the front end.
Behind it.
Because we'll take them out long before we do the tower
Mhm.
trailer. And if we gotta get the tower trailer out, generators are easy to move.
Right.
But that pole sticking out just shows you what it's over those shelves over there. I've seen it over those shelves.
Goes all the way back to that wall.
Right, and, there's a space back there, but
Yeah.
you could stick something back there and probably pull it out from the side,
Right.
if you've stored it up there on the Copel Street deal.
Yes, if it's available,
Yeah.
I asked him and he said he'd get back to me, so I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah,
Which-
everything else would then, Jonah. I think we tried the white trailer. It's taller than the red trailer, isn't it, Randy?
White trailer went in there.
Yeah.
I think they're probably about the same height,
About the
because
same
white
height.
trailer they both have air conditioners on top of them, so
Yeah.
I think they're both about the same height.
I think that's a possibility to get by with, just, yeah.
You got-
Dave's mentioned
what's-
another building here, I didn't know whether, if it's still for sale or what, that's another,
I think so, I don't know.
that's,
As far as I know,
okay.
they're renting it out weekly now for auction for pack rats.
That's the one I was talking, I didn't know what kind of contract they had,
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's monthly or weekly or
Okay.
by the day, I'm not sure. It's empty.
Yeah.
Do you know how big the door is?
There's two big doors.
Two big doors? Okay, I haven't been up there, so at least 14 feet.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, the big ones.
Right.
Yeah, I think if those doors was designed for anything, big trucks that come in for him to work on when
Yeah,
the
he
building
want-
was
he
built.
want to take semis.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. That's interesting,
It
Dave.
could be a short-term situation too, maybe.
Yeah, City of Marion may not want to sell it to the county.
Well, just ask,
Yeah.
not leasing it.
Oh,
Options, just find out
Options.
options.
That's an option, I like that.
Then we need to be somewhere in February, is what you're saying.
That's
By
right.
first February.
The end of January, they've asked us to not be there.
Gone again.
Still $250 a month is what we're paying a month.
Correct.
That's a deal.
It is, you know, and we've been there, well, I don't know how long before I got here, but for at least 8 years, I know we've been there. So we've been there for quite a while, and that's a long term, and surprisingly, they haven't asked for it back before then.
What year is that truck? 2006?
The Dooley?
Dooley.
It's 10 or 11.
10 or 11?
10 or 11.
Doesn't have any
I- I
So
just
mileage.
go
that was,
back.
okay, they both come together.
Yes, they did.
You'd have to have both.
Yeah, I mean, but that was the deal then, so, well, if all else fails, I think you could ask that Homeland Security, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And ask them if they had somebody else that would take it over. I don't know whether they would do that or not, but if not, well, I mean, that's,
You can always ask the question,
Yeah.
if that's where you want to go.
yeah, I mean, I think it's a possibility, Dave. I'm not gonna rule it out, but if we wanted to continue it, why?
Well, priority-wise, I think priority, if we have a spot, we want to keep it in the
Yeah.
county. First option would be to look at Coble, is that right, for the tower?
That's one possibility. It's been there before.
Okay,
Yes.
so I would suggest we explore that one.
That's with, Keith
Price.
Rice.
Okay, the second one would be to explore the building Dave
Yeah,
brought up.
two options right
To see
there.
if there's a possibility of leasing that. Again, this may be short-term, maybe, we'll see.
Good.
And then the third option, I guess, would be to see if there's another county that would take the equipment.
I think that's the bottom one that you probably, you
Yeah.
know, to keep it under a shed.
So I guess would that be our direction to our director? And then
Do you have
the
any-
balance of equipment would go into the fair building?
Because the fairgrounds would just be a last resort before you gave it away. Still have
There's
to
room
find
for all
someplace
this
to
other
build
stuff
the tower.
up there too.
Yeah.
But you
And
could
then
get
up with the
everything
county
else
shop,
somewhere
they could stick it someplace.
temporarily.
Yeah, generator could go over here and another generator could go over there.
Okay, so where did the fair building fit in?
I would put the fair building before asking somebody else to get rid of it. I mean,
Okay.
that'd buy us a
Yep,
little
yep.
bit more time.
I agree.
Temporary.
But that's, the tower trailer is only one. We got two others here to.
The tower trailer won't fit in the fair building.
Yeah, the tower won't. Everything else will.
It's too big. Well, you've seen the
Yeah.
tower trailer.
And so,
I don't know of anything
the
in Hillsborough.
fair buildings.
It's probably
Fair
gonna be
buildings
split
there
up.
would be something that if we was gonna do something that I'd like to see the fair building look, ask the board, and we come up with, we've been paying $250. If the tower trailer goes up to the Coble building, continue the $250 and give it to the fair board to store in that.
Yeah, the fair board's been helping us out with all the COVID clinics, everything.
Yeah.
Anything we ever asked for, they've come through. so.
The only challenge we'll run into that is that when they go to use the fair building,
Yeah, we'll have to
find another place to store everything.
Yeah, in a sense, like, we could take it out. That'd be a good opportunity to show Marion County what we actually have here. It could be pulled out to
Polish them up,
display.
make it look good.
Is the duty stored there too most of the
Yes,
time?
it is.
Front,
Yeah.
right up front?
Right in front, right in front of the tower trailer.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna takes up a fair amount. If you take the tower trailer out of the way and put the other two in there, it still takes up about the same, or almost the same amount. I mean, just getting rid of it and putting these other trailers in line.
It will. It's not to scale by any means, I just quickly.
No, but it's close. I mean, it gives you an
Yeah.
idea.
And at least the smaller trailers, you can maneuver a little bit.
Yes.
You get the big one, and you can maneuver the others better.
And I don't know what all events happens in that building that we looked at.
One very little, a lot, but the other buildings get used a lot.
So maybe they'd be interested. That's be my first choice, to see if they're interested in it.
Just don't know of any other buildings there that would house that tower trailer. It'd be nice to keep them all together.
But in the short term,
With this,
Yeah.
with that blue building, we hold everything, the one we're talking about, the old tire shop place. Make sure there's no nails on it.
it's nice.
I would like to pursue that, just to ask, should the council?
They're gonna ask for it, you know.
Yeah.
What you think?
Well, I'd like to make it a formal request by the commission, Dave, and just send, send Dave over to, or you know, whatever, however we wanna do it, but see if it's either for sale or lease. We've got another building sitting here that I brought the drawings to today, so, you know, that's something else. I mean, maybe we lease it, if they would lease it to us for a while, until we decide what we're gonna do.
We still gotta buy time.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still gonna take some time, that's where the lease would sure
Yes.
work. And I think they would be more willing to work with a lease, at least at this.
Yeah,
point.
short term.
I think they wanna sell it. I mean,
Okay.
the city owns it, they got a $200,000 note on it.
Yeah.
They probably want to sell it to somebody that's gonna pay taxes.
Taxes, yeah, they're not gonna want to sell it.
It's
We've
been
been
my
through that story
experience.
before.
Yeah.
They've been trying for 5 years now.
Right.
Yeah.
But years, 2 years worth of lease money out of it.
Yeah, I sat through a disturbing meeting for that issue.
Okay, so we're gonna gather information for some options, that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
Yeah. we need to have
Do
it
you
back
want
next
Randy
week.
back on the agenda next week?
Yeah. We're gonna have to, if you got till the end of January, we have to make a choice soon, so that you've got time to
move.
Those carports.
I've got a lot of water and cleanup kits and everything else sitting over there that would have to go.
My question is, Randy, is, that's the building where the trucks, the road and bridge building at Copel Street that you're talking about. The building's real dirty. I mean, it's dirt floor.
I know.
And
I'm
I'm.
looking for a quick fix.
Yeah, oh, and we can use it as a quick fix.
Yeah.
Because it's road ready. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, we do like to keep our equipment nice and things like that. I'm
agree.
not stating that. So we'll go ahead with Bryce. Who's gonna talk to the fair board?
Ask Jonah to
I can't.
Okay, John?
see what options we can.
See if there's any options there.
Yeah.
And maybe lease with them for a short while.
Yeah.
Lease with them for a short while, whatever options to get it in and out.
Maybe they have something there, maybe one of the buildings I'm not thinking of. I don't know. I don't know that there is, but I'm just saying.
I think due to the communication equipment inside of those two trailers though, I think we do want it under lock and key.
Yes, those need to be under lock and key.
And a generator and.
I'd see if we, some way we could board up the windows too, because those are easy to get in. Because there's just no traffic down there at nighttime.
Well, as long as it's removable without damage.
You still got that
Right.
Dollar General building that's for sale.
Yeah, that'd take a lot of work, though, to make it.
That's pretty good.
Ceilings
That's
falling
not
down in
tall
there.
enough.
Well, you'd have to-
They are tall enough, because we looked at the
Yeah,
ambulance.
ceiling
They are
is,
tall enough.
you remove the drop ceiling.
Drop ceiling.
But you'd still have to put an overhead door in the one end
Oh, yeah.
in order to get it in, so it's, I mean, that's, you ain't getting done at the end of January with that, so.
Yeah. No, I believe the options gets down to the road and bridge, the fair board, and maybe the city. Be the other. How are we gonna contact the city and ask for Dave? Okay.
I'll walk into the office.
Okay. And lease, a short-term lease, and, you know, we understand
Well,
that
see what-
if they sold
See what the
it.
wind farm people are doing, you know.
Well, I know what I'm getting at, because they may be here in April. The wind farm people might be. And I don't know if they're still intending on doing it, or, you know, using the building or not. If they're,
Just gather information.
yeah,
2 months ago, they had not made a commitment.
okay. You can come back next week and let us know if they're interested in it, okay?
So do you want this on the agenda for next week?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, we're going past.
That's all right.
You
I
enjoyed
cleared
it.
2 hours just in case.
Oh.
You
He's
kind of
been here
enjoyed it.
before.
Somebody else has a
Yeah.
problem too.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And did you have any other business or just this resolution that you
This
need
resolution, I
done?
thought you'd already done that, I'm sorry.
No, we didn't.
Oh.
I was waiting for your time.
Okay, sorry.
We gotta have somebody, so.
This resolution we do every 2 years, it's announcing who's going to be the committee members for the Homeland Security Committee. And it's that time again.
That's held where?
Well, it moves from place to place.
Okay.
Like the Kima meetings, we move from place to place. Some people have to drive as far on the different meetings.
I Make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-24.
This is also appointed to be a voting, let's see, Randy Frank is hereby appointed to be a voting member of South Central Security in Marion County, and Marcy Osletter is hereby appointed to be an alternate voting member, so just letting you know.
I'll second
Osletter.
Joe's
Yeah.
motion.
So, okay, still good with that? Okay. Your motion is to 2021 for resolution, 2021-24 for resolution number. And is anybody second it? Dave Mueller, okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
4-0.
Randy, how long is the tower trailer?
60 feet.
And that includes the
60
tower?
feet?
That includes all the way to the wall, yes.
Okay.
From the fifth wheel hitch to all the way to the back.
Okay,
Typical semi-trailer long ones are 54 feet.
yeah.
Just to give you a frame of reference.
So it's 60 feet from the.
From the hitch to the end of the tower trailer, and the end of the tower.
Always got a hole in the back of the gate.
Get rid of this little bubble, like,
Yeah, put a bubble in.
bubble window.
There you go.
You have to be really good at backing up.
There you go. There you go.
Just have somebody back there.
No, man, that snaps on.
Oh, yeah. When was the last time it was set up, Randy?
Been before COVID, because we haven't done anything since COVID.
Been busy.
It's been a tad busy. And me and the sheriff, we've talked about that. Probably in the spring we'll set it up because he has a whole new staff, and his staff helps with the setup and delivery.
Yeah.
So when all of his new staff gets out of the academy and back in the spring, we'll probably do it again, set it up. It's tall.
Thank you for
Thank you, okay. If you'll email me a copy, I'll send it on.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Pretty good. All right, so a few months ago, you guys asked us to kind of put together an outline for the Leadership Marion County program. And so that's kind of what we've done. We haven't delved too deep into any details at this point. It's just kind of a rough outline to give you guys an idea of what we're looking at. So as far as our committee goes, we've got a group of 7 people. Well, actually just 5 right now. We've got 2 vacant spots right now with Randy Collins retiring, and we thought we had somebody to kind of represent the businesses of Marion County, but she had to back out because of other commitments. So we're looking for somebody from the business community. We've thought of a few people, but we haven't got commitments yet from them. So then the intent would be to have Marion's new economic development director to serve on the committee as well when they're hired. My understanding is there's a plan to hire somebody. So otherwise, I think we've got a good group of people representing economic development. Tina is kind of representing the county. Becky Nickel, she is with CKCF as their liaison, affiliate liaison, and so she lives by Peabody and is really active in the Peabody community, but she also does some work in Gospel, Florence, and in Hillsborough as the affiliate liaison. So she does a good job of representing the south part of the county. And then Larry Geist, he's the superintendent of the school district. So he gives us some representation from up north and also from education. And then Tristan with K-State Extension. So we think, at this point we've got a good group of people. And we're going to add a couple more. So moving on to kind of what we're looking at as far as what the class looks like. We're going to try to target a group of 10 to 15 participants in this first year. We've kind of laid out a rough structure. We'd probably start with kind of an evening 1-hour orientation, really just so everybody taking the class can get to know each other, maybe just learn a little bit about what the class is going to look like, that kind of thing. And then the first actual day of the program and the second day, we're gonna have them do the Your Leadership Edge in Wichita with the Kansas Leadership Center. That'll give them a good introduction to leadership concepts. It's taught by the Leadership Center. So we kind of feel like, at least initially, we think that's where the participants should go.
I'll pass on the book. I know David has looked at it before, but in case you're curious
And they
about
have to
kind of the
go,
content.
they have to go to Wichita, they
Yeah.
from here.
So, yeah, some of the details we gotta work out. You know, we'll be looking at probably potentially providing transportation there. Potentially, that'll probably be a question that we ask those participants. You know, do you wanna drive yourself, or is transportation there important? If we find that nobody needs transportation, then we won't provide that. But if there is a need for transportation, then we'll be looking at providing that. The intent is, the only cost of the program is the book, and so our intent is to purchase the books and provide that as part of our class. So they'll spend 2 days doing that in Wichita. Then we've got 2 days set aside for a county-wide tour. And the purpose of that is to really get a sense of where we are at in our county. It sounds like in our discussions with the Leadership Center, not very many communities do this anymore. But we decided, I think as a committee, that it's important for us because it builds a sense of community. When you're out there learning about, issues that other communities have, we think that it builds kind of a sense of community, and I think that that's a huge goal for this purpose for this program, is not only to develop leadership, but also to encourage people to learn about their community and to kind of build up that Marion County, not only as the county we live in, but as a community. We're all neighbors in this together. So with that, we'll be going across the county to learn about different things in the county, probably discover some problem areas, the issues that different groups in Marion County have. And then the next 2 days will be community application sessions. Those will be led by Raquel Thiessen from Kansas Leadership Center. She has offered to facilitate this for free for at least this year. And so during that time, during those sessions, we'll be taking a look at some of the problems that were identified in the countywide tour and apply what has been learned at the Kansas Leadership Edge to those issues. And we'll wrap it up with a celebration event at the end. So we're looking at about a seven-day deal. Some of those days will probably be half days. That gets into some of the detail work that we're going to have to figure out as far as scheduling that. So that's kind of what the class is looking like for right now. Next page here, I've got a very rough estimated budget. So we've got expenses of around $6,000. The bulk of that would have to do with transportation expenses. That's definitely where I see the funding, that's going to be the most expensive part for us. And some of that depends on, are we transporting them to Wichita? It's kind of an unknown at this point that's factored into that expense. But definitely with countywide tour, we'll definitely be providing transportation for that. And the amount of people we've got. If we've got 10 participants, we can manage that with probably 2 vehicles. If we've got 15, we're definitely going to need a third, depending on the size of the vehicle. And also, we're going to, be looking at potential organizations here in Marion County that have that kind of transportation available to see if they're willing to donate the use of the vehicle, if they're willing to do it at a reduced cost, or whatnot. Those expenses that I figured that as us renting the vehicle from someplace like Hertz Rental Cars, just to give us a starting point. So really rough costs there. The income, we've got student fees, which I didn't make a note here, but I think that I set that at $150 a student, which is what the average is. And then we also have two funds with Community Foundation, one for adults and one for youth. So obviously if we have 15 adults, we're not going to be using the youth funds to fund that. So that can kind of make that look a little bit weird. I see that's going to probably be used proportionally. You know, they'll be used, if we've got half the class youth, then we'll use half of the expenses will come from the youth fund and half from the adult fund. And then the county also has some reserve funding set aside also. And we've also had some discussion as far as the student fees goes. You know, we want to make sure that that fee isn't an obstacle, and so we'll be looking at potential scholarship type opportunities in certain circumstances.
In the past, a lot of the students got businesses to sponsor them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That teach them how to go out and beg too. That's a
Yeah.
very important part of life.
And I assume a lot of these people, specifically with adults, are going to be employed by somewhere, and
Yeah.
I definitely foresee employers paying for this too. But I don't think any of us want that to be the obstacle to somebody coming.
No,
So,
it shouldn't be.
I don't think we've made any final decision on what we may be able to do. I think we'll kind of figure that out as we go. But
You have to put a price on it to make put some value to
yeah,
it.
exactly, absolutely. Okay, so then moving into some next steps, our hope today is that we can kind of get your guys' approval to go ahead and work on those details, and for you guys to approve kind of the formation of this program, or the relaunch of the program. We'll need to select the class dates. We're looking at springtime. Now I can't remember if we were looking at end of March or early April, but somewhere in there is where we're looking at starting. Some of that will be dictated by when the Your Leadership Edge is. They do those every month or
About every month, yeah.
Every month. It's 2 days back to back, and so our day 1 and 2 will be those days. And then we'll work out the rest of those days into some sort of schedule. We've talked about once a week or once every other week, maybe even potentially doing some of those days back to back. Those will be kind of things we've got to work out. We'll need to, I think actually Becky Nickel is working on maybe getting a logo put together and setting up kind of a marketing plan for the program. Securing the transportation and a facility for the orientation, and days 5, 6, and 7. That'll take some time. More detailed work. We want to be kind of centrally located, but we also want to be able to get out in the county. And so whether we'll have different facilities for each of those days, or maybe we'll rotate those facilities every year.
I think you need to every week meet in a different place so people can travel and explore the other towns.
Yeah. And then organize the countywide tour. That's probably going to be the thing that's going to take us the longest, is figuring out exactly where we're going to go with those countywide tours and that kind of thing. But we'll definitely need to prepare for that. And that's really all I've got. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have at this time. I definitely expect that as we get closer, assuming that you guys approve it, when we get closer, I foresee us doing another presentation either before we actually launch the class, or do a wrap up after the fact, after the class is completed, to give you guys an idea of how that went. So.
Number one, Anthony, is I think there's 3 people sitting in here that might be involved in this from the names on here. So thank you, people, you 3, for doing this, and plus the other members that you have. And this is not an easy task, but it's, from what I've seen from the results, there's people, Dave, you said you went through it at one time?
I went through the state one.
Oh, you went through state one.
And I came back and helped set up the first one.
Okay. And, but I know of other people.
Back in '88, I think.
But there's been people just say, oh yeah, I've been through the county leadership program, as I've sat here in this office and I didn't know about, and so it's a great thing and for our county. But thank you guys for trying to get this started. Is there any questions by the commission now, period, about anything? Just, these people are sitting right here, just ask them.
I know, like with the countywide tours, obviously I wasn't here. I never took the program here in Marion County, but everybody I talked to, they talked about that countywide tour. And so going into this, continuing that aspect of it, even though most don't, was pretty important to me because that's what everybody remembers.
Well, most people don't ever get outside their little world, you know.
Right, absolutely.
Grew up in Marion, you know. You've never been in our shop, I bet you.
Yeah. I know, that's what I
You
assured
knew
the
where it's at,
MPT and the
but-
committee,
and then
yeah.
A lot of people never been to a feedlot
Yep.
or a
Right.
feed mill, and now a grain elevator.
Or maybe even know that it
Ma-
exists in
yeah,
our
matter of
county.
fact,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, people don't venture out,
Yeah.
and that's what's had happened when we did in the past in the county. People come back and say, I didn't know this was in Peabody, you know,
Yeah.
because they drove by Peabody, but they've never stopped.
Do you think the total expense is somewhere around that 38,000?
That's just
Yeah.
reserve.
That's just the reserve funding. No, I don't see the program costing that much.
Yeah, I was more like the 6.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I mention something
Yeah.
about the financial part and the
Yes.
funding and all
Yes.
of that?
Mhm.
You know, the formation of this actually is probably gonna take a resolution, because the funding will be through the county. We have recovered funds, and plus we have the community foundation, and all of that needs to be going through county oversight. We'll be paying the bills through county, established county procedures, and we'll be subject to audit that way. And so, we need probably a resolution to establish the program, the structure of it, and the financial oversight part of it. I mean, I think we definitely want to try to get the approval, but we're also gonna need to take additional steps to set the structure up appropriately, and I don't know exactly what that looks like.
And you have somebody doing a little bit of research to put a name to it? Did you say Becky Nikhil?
Oh, yeah, she's working on
A logo.
For the
a
logo.
logo, that kind of thing.
We
yeah.
established the mission statement, and then just the Marion County Leadership Program.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today we need a motion to proceed, and then we need to follow up next week with a resolution.
That'd be great if we had it
Any
that
life,
quickly.
is there any
I'll second
liabilities that we're not thinking of, or anything like that, you know, the tour, gonna get in the vehicle, maybe have some minors, you know, adults can sign a waiver, go to minor, maybe not so much.
Well, no.
Is that all been
If
covered?
it's a
18 or
program
over.
under the county, we would just need to verify that it would be subject
Or
to, it would be under our insurance. That would be another benefit to having it under the county umbrella.
Yeah, as far as any liability, I mean, whatever advice Tina or Brad, I mean, we'll do whatever the county needs done.
Just
Yeah,
making
if
sure
we need
that's
a-
accounted
if we
for
do need a
in the-
waiver.
in the expenses.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah.
It's kind of Tina's general budget.
No.
Well, any other final discussion?
I just really encourage you that it's a great program to get people to stay in Marion County.
I'm aware of Marion County.
Huh?
Some people don't know Marion
The
County.
people who live here aren't aware of
Yeah.
it. And they'll see what else all available. And why do I need to go to the big city when I got it all right here?
I guess I'd be ready to move forward with a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I would move that we proceed with the formation of Leadership Marion County, and to be followed up with a resolution establishing the framework. I guess would be the appropriate wording on that.
I would second that motion. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. And listen, a big thank you again.
Thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah, well, we appreciate the support, so thank you.
Don't be afraid to ask us for help.
Yes.
Now,
We won't be.
Next, whatever it takes, you know, just keep us informed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when
Either
we
through
took
a
the plans
memo
for
through
the
her,
tours.
we appreciate you all coming back, we don't have no problem.
Yeah, okay, thank you all.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Got your book? Huh?
Yes.
Need to have space for the extension district.
Yeah.
I was walking through the building the other day, they got.
Yeah, that's true. True.
Good
Good afternoon,
afternoon.
Gayla.
All stuck together.
so much in your hands.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
I should go last.
Just clean them so we can see.
Yeah.
Got some wet ink on there, sort of sticky.
I would.
Do you still have one for you?
Yeah, I do.
Just heard before the leadership.
That was the movie room we did.
Right.
Director, but this- yeah, I saw that.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
We're always ready.
Yeah, I was looking here, just look what you handed out.
Okay, yeah, I'm passing it down, I just have the one book, but.
Okay, okay.
This
Go ahead.
past summer, I finished putting this resource guide together. I think I did one about 12 years ago, so, there's a lot more in it, and I kind of went in and explained different things just in regards to aging, like, about Medicare, what do you look for when you're looking for a nursing home, just some things I've added to that, and then it lists all the nursing homes in the county. So I put this together, and I got a bid in October, and then I got in the middle of prescription drug enrollment. And then just last week, I looked at it again, and I sent a email to Dave and said, does this price still stands? And he goes, no. Paper's gone up. So I had only asked him for a bid of 100. I was kind of looking at 200. I felt like 200 would probably be sufficient. The last time I did it 12 years ago, I did 500, and a lot of them sat in boxes. So I feel like with 200, what they would do is they would go out to just like the different agencies like nursing homes and hospitals and home health, and those kind of places would each get one or two or whatever, and then the rest would just be available to the public, whoever wants it. And then we would also upload it onto my website. So this is what his bid is, and I'm just coming to see if you would be okay, either me doing 100, 200, 100 now, 100 later.
First, I want to say thank you for putting that together.
Well,
I know I only looked
Bakers
at it,
did.
just to put the amount of information in there in one handy booklet for someone
Yeah.
is awesome, because that, as I was just flipping through in those few seconds, like, oh, yeah, I've had that question,
Yeah.
My mother's had this question, I've this question. Well, you can go to one source.
Yeah.
And you have a source to refer to, or other people have a
Right.
place to refer.
Yeah, I mean, I try to cover areas that I get called about all
Yes.
the time. If people have questions, this won't answer all of them, but at least will begin
Yes.
a place for them to begin
Yes.
anyway.
I
so.
see it's very valuable to
I see you made it, us seniors,
us.
us seniors accessible there because it's larger print.
Yeah.
Instead of the small print that we.
Right, well, that's for me also.
Well, it
To be able to
does
read
make it easier to read and stuff, and I can only imagine as I go further in life what may happen. So, no, I guess I'm gonna rely on you to tell us what you think. If 100 does it first, fine, and then if you think that's where you wanna start, fine. And go
Yeah.
from there if you think 200.
You're not saving any money by getting 200. A lot of times you save 20%.
Just
Yeah.
saving a few bucks.
You're saying so.
Yeah, I just don't know if, I guess I would maybe start out with 100,
Okay?
but
Price
paper
will go
prices
up.
could go up.
Yeah, good.
But, I mean, I could do 100 and then just kind of see where I'm at and get a feel like, oh, maybe, yeah, I do need to do another 100 and just see what.
The only question I have is how soon does that go out of date? You said you did one 10 years ago or so?
The minute I print it, it goes
Yeah.
out of date.
Okay.
The information I have in it, there's probably,
Yeah.
well, actually there is, because the other day I was given a phone number for somebody and I actually wrote it in there, so it's already, and I don't know, I could possibly go back and ask him, he could probably go back in and change that number, but there could be something else that's in there that
in a year
And you
from
can
now.
always keep your online version updated.
Right.
Have you handed them out through the health department or the food bank before? That might be a good way to
Yeah.
distribute.
Yeah, I haven't done, last time I didn't do that. I mean, I kind of did places where, but I don't know, the food bank wasn't up and as
Big as it is.
going
Yeah.
as it is now.
Right.
And I know we still have one on our shelf from back then, and we could distribute from here too. There would be people coming in to pay taxes or do whatever, that would maybe one.
I start adding up places to put one, and it goes through that 100 pretty fast.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, I
What is
think
that,
just
$10
getting it out to the
$10 a month?
agency, I wouldn't even get it out to the
To the
public.
public. The other thing is there a big year on the front of it of when it was, for what edition it is? Because now I envision it coming out maybe every
Okay.
5 years we get
Okay, yeah.
we get an update.
Yeah, I don't know that it has an addition.
It doesn't.
That's a cost of $11 a book is what it is, for 100. And,
But it'd sure be handy.
yeah, I
I'd
just.
like one.
What Well, that's what I guess that's what my goal is, but if you go to a food bank, maybe, and there are seniors there.
You get rid of 50 of them right there.
I mean, is it designed a lot more for the seniors than it is for younger adults or 50-50?
Yeah, I mean, it's for seniors if they were looking for something, but it also would be for families who just are, maybe have
Okay,
an aging parent,
okay.
you know, and are
Could be,
looking
yep.
for something, because
Mhm.
some of the stuff does deal with, I mean, it, you know, it deals with food bank, which is for everybody, you know, and then there's just some other things that it could go across. I mean, it's not necessarily children, but it could be just adults.
Right.
Professionals, attorneys dealing with geriatrics or
Right.
dealing with trusts. 3 or 4 questions just got answered when I was looking through it now
Oh.
from a client yesterday.
Okay,
So, yeah, that's.
I'd sure recommend the 200,
okay.
and then updated, it'll probably be 4 or 5 years to be ready, they'll be gone.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess I'd make a motion to proceed with not to exceed $2,200 and let it be at your discretion on how many you get. That way, if you're
Okay.
gonna buy 100 and 100, you've got the extra $20 figured in.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Have a
And
motion.
would you want to say the vendor?
For Baker Brothers.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Gives you flexibility.
Okay.
I have a motion by Jonah to go with not to exceed $2,200 for these books. Title of them is
Sorry, it's the,
It's kind of wordy.
Marion County
You need an
Resource
acronym.
Sales
Yeah.
guide for
Yeah.
aging services.
okay.
Yeah.
Marion County Resource Guide for Aging Services. Put it all in there at maximum 2,200. We have a second by Dave Mueller. All those, any discussion, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Awesome.
Now it's on you.
Pass it back.
Okay.
100 or 200 or however you want to run
Okay.
it.
As long as we get a copy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just hot off the press, I'll get it.
Or we can buy one.
Yeah, I'll just briefly, tomorrow's the last day of prescription drug enrollment. I've done about 120 people I've enrolled. I've done about a comparison of 100. And across all those people that I've helped, probably saved about $100,000, not for each individual, but, you know, just varying amounts is what I've done. And so as soon as we wrap that up tomorrow, then I'll start working on starting to do taxes in January. And
How do you figure you've saved 100,000?
well, for everybody that I do a comparison for, then what I do is I look at, because I always look at the plan they're in this year, and then is that their least expensive, or is another plan their least expensive? So if another plan's their least expensive, and I've compared it to their old one, there can be anywhere from $50 to $500 to $1,000 or whatever. And so I just keep track of that, of the amount. I haven't done as well this year keeping track of that as I have in past, because, I don't know, some days have just been really flooded and you just don't have time to write all of that
I
down.
think $1,000 by switching plans over the
Well,
whole year, so that.
I haven't started it yet, but it's coming very quickly
Have
and
fun.
very shortly. And so But that's what I've heard, Dave,
Yeah.
is by switching each year, some plans adjust, and your own need adjusts too.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah, for medication.
So, I mean, it's usually, for most people, it's between $200 and $500 savings. When it gets down to like $50, I say to people, do you really want to do,
Yeah.
for the hassle of that, do you really wanna? And some people will say, sure, and I go, fine. And then there's other people go, no, I don't wanna do that, so. Okay, that's all I had.
Thank you, Gayla.
Thank
Very
you.
nice, good job.
Thank you.
And we've got commission discussion next.
No.
Oh, there is somebody here. Oh, yes, I overlooked that line. EMS Travis Parley, Director of Department of Business here. What do you got, Travis?
I want to follow up on the ambulance we talked a while back. I have a local salesman that is willing to bring a regional sales expert in on the purchasing power that we talked about. We're gonna get a schedule for him to come in and visit with us and see if maybe we can put some pieces together with that. So, following up on that, I went, put a list together, went locally, got some prices on, I guess we'd call it hardware, we call it finishing, washer, dryer, stove, microwave, refrigerator, recliners, things like that for the station. And came to $9,988.96. A lot of it sourced locally. And I guess if I look at it, a lot of them I could buy without approval. It's in the budget. But I thought if I came in and did it in a lump sum, we can get that stuff secured. I think with it being local, they could store it until we're ready to move it in. It wouldn't be a real big issue, so.
That was what I was gonna say, if we purchase it now, and it's, of course, you're thinking 60 days probably.
Yeah, we're not far out, and then, yeah, I think we can work on delivery date, that kind of thing. As far as that goes, we should have, if everything goes right, we should have doors in Thursday, and, I mean, we can get to where we get an area secured that we could store things as well. So, we're.
If they'll hold it for you, that's.
Sure, no, I understand, not putting things in people's way, so.
Yeah.
But again, we maybe have some flexibility there, what we can do, so I just wanted to come with that number and see what your guys' thoughts were, and then see if we go ahead and move forward with that, so.
Do you have the list of the items and the costs?
I do.
Okay.
Do you, okay, yeah, I'll make you a copy, is that all right? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can make everybody a copy if you want it real quick, but.
How, have we put any is in the budget, this is already, or not in the budget?
This, I didn't see the end of, November's numbers, but looking at commodities, what I have budgeted for the year, I believe. And Tina and I looked at the overall picture, and we're okay.
Yeah, I've been tracking that budget pretty close, and he does have available funds in his budget.
So it could pull from commodities?
Yeah. It doesn't matter which line item it gets pulled from, because it's just by fund, and so you could even pull it from, depending on the price of the item, we may pull it from capital outlay.
Okay, but it's there.
The fund itself should not be over budget.
Okay.
I have been analyzing all the department budgets. As soon as I get November's numbers, I believe we're gonna have to republish the health department. We're gonna have to look at that budget, because something's really off with it. So we're gonna have to check that one. There's one other fund we need to republish, but I don't believe we need to do EMS. It looks good.
Okay, my next question is I think the whole commission wants to be able to look back and see what this building cost total. So is this part of the picture yet, or is this not part of the picture yet?
This is not in the grand scheme of the building.
Okay, grand scheme of the building, okay.
But I can put it on my expense tracking
Okay.
worksheet that I keep, and that list then would be helpful to
Yeah,
have.
and just looking towards the end of the year, and I think after the first of the year, there are small items
Yeah.
that are gonna be popping up too,
Yes,
so.
that's other stuff, yes.
Yeah, so.
Okay. With that being said, I'd make the motion to go ahead and purchase that total dollars and provide Tina with a list of what it is, and out of the ambulance budget. Do I hear a second? Second, Jonah. Any discussion?
I even hesitated.
I kept
All,
one and a
all
half.
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Travis,
Thank
for,
you.
and as we know, trying to be part of this program to help save in budget, in your budget, to put towards this building and get it going and stuff. Thank you very much for
You
doing
bet.
that, sir.
And I would like to stay for the art discussion. Maybe put one little plug in there as far as, if you allow me to, is looking at what other counties do. My employees see that. And as you all know, they are the ones that answer the call and go in the back of the ambulance with COVID positive patients. So a little plug out there for my employees that, you know, if you're looking at doing something for the employees, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Well, very well on time here.
Somehow.
Thanks to Travis.
Short and sweet. The last few put us back.
Yeah, commission discussion on trash service here, and I don't know about Dave. Dave and I haven't talked, but Kent Becker gave me a phone call, and do you have a pretty good rundown of what all's happening?
Well,
Dave?
yeah, Kent's the one that took the lead on
Okay.
it. He texted and what, but
Okay.
half hour after he texted me, well, then the phone started ringing.
Yes.
So Waste Management has canceled service to 103 rural customers, Marion. As far as I know, it's just rural customers, but they were given 1 week's notice, they're picking up their dumpsters and that's it, they're done, they're gone. Which I don't know how you do when you pay monthly, but it's obviously got some people very upset. We went through all this 6 months ago,
Yep.
I think, with a group. It was a smaller group, maybe 30 before, but you know, you got over 100 customers now without trash pickup. So
Are we talking about the one south of Marion? 'Cause I just got told there's some notice given to some people south
okay, that might, I don't know if that's the same
from
or
Waste
not.
Connections.
This is Waste Connections.
Canceling out south, so this may be a bigger issue
Well, it's a bigger area.
than just over.
Yeah. The calls have been coming from the west part of the county.
Okay.
For
Yeah,
me.
'cause I happened to glance across something happening south, and it was basically a question asked to the rest of the public. What, is there any other trash services?
Yeah.
And then, so I
On
read a little
Facebook-
deeper,
On Facebook or something?
and it sounded like.
What
it
we
was
sort of
canceled.
may expect then, it may be more than just the
Right.
north end, it may be the whole county rural area. that
Right.
they're
Anything,
getting rid of
anything
due
with
to
Waste
violence.
Connection.
Yeah.
I think one of the board comments was Kent asked somebody, and it was, they're having trouble with people and to get drivers and to cover the area and stuff. So I guess maybe that's led to some of this decision making to shut some of this rural stuff down, so.
That's what, then I talked to another supplier, and he said, well, you know, you want me to drive out there 5 miles and pick up one dumpster, and then drive another 8 miles and pick up one, they just get the city. Well, you know, where's the fairness in that? Is it supposed to be, I guess I don't know how the county, the cities are on their own?
Yeah.
Everybody's on their own?
Yes.
It's just the countryside's up to whoever's willing to go out, put on the extra miles?
Yes.
Because that is a whale of expense.
Oh, mileage, yeah.
Mhm.
You know, so some of the other suppliers, well, yeah, you throw in a couple towns with it, well, then, yeah, they'd be interested in taking over the rural area, but, you know, they've gotta go out of their way, because it's not like it's on their route. We're the ones that are servicing the towns that are already driving through that area. They've gotta come in from another area, view all the miles, and then drive back.
I thought things up northwest corner were
Right.
getting handled.
They got a dumpster.
Well, I thought there was another company taking over.
No.
Oh,
Now, then I did get another call from someone who's interested in starting a trash service, but I have a feeling they're gonna get their eyes open. You know, and looking at it, you just look at the general numbers and think, well, yeah, I can get a trash, well, no. There's more to it. There's more to it.
Do you have this service to your house?
I have not had
You
it.
have
We
not
were
had
cut
it.
off probably 10 years ago.
Okay. What did you do?
started hauling it in.
I'd rather not say. I take it to the,
Yeah.
not say.
There you go.
Haul it in.
All right. Well, what we can visibly see is it's gonna do that. I mean, it's gonna affect a bunch of people, and they're gonna get rid of it one way or the other.
Right, and it's not gonna be good for the
And,
county.
and sometimes it's not gonna be good, yes.
Right. So, Ken asked that it be brought up. I'm trying to follow up and ask, give direction. I see Tina's put together a nice list of other services. That helps me.
Yeah, I just had Judy do a quick little bit of research yesterday and compile a list of places around here,
Mhm.
So I guess that's what, if we as a commission can't really do anything, at least, I don't know, give these residents a list of contacts. I don't know, what I'm asking for
we
direction on
could.
what to do.
And Kent had said that there was a person that's interested in starting a company that was
Right.
planning to be here, but I don't know that they're online or,
We've had a couple callers come in, but I don't know.
yeah, I've got a caller one on here, but I don't have any information on
Brad, let me ask you, the city has got a jurisdiction and they can control that.
Mhm.
We've got a jurisdiction out there too, but we cannot put any kind of a thing on for, to this.
Cities?
No, for the county, that's outside city limits.
No, we can't.
I mean, I think you could probably bid that out for
Mhm.
all rural service, but
We
then
treat it
you
as
would
a
have to,
County utilities for county areas, it's a struggle though.
but then you'd have to like get commitments from the individual
Yeah.
householders that they would actually
We
subscribe to
establish,
it, right?
we establish a levy, see how that works out for us.
Yeah.
But, it's difficult if the private sector doesn't see it as advantageous, it's a struggle. Because that's the reason that some of the stuff that the county or governmental entities do, it's why we do it. Because there isn't the typical marketplace in the private industry setting, doesn't wanna do it. Doesn't fit their system, very much like what's been discussed here. And it gets to be
And instead of the county just doing it, because that would be like almost insurmountable to try to do that. Could the county, say that there's only, do a bid and say that, whoever gets the bid, that is the vendor that's allowed to pick up
Mhm.
trash in
Yep.
Marion County for the rural?
Yep. As long as we do the bidding process correctly, there's nothing that would preclude us from doing that.
How would you bid it though? You don't know how many customers you
Yeah.
got, you don't know where the customers are at.
The practical side of that is difficult, because you're right, I mean, someone takes
It's a
takes
cream.
kind of like a contract to say, anybody in the county we will do.
Well, I mean, $15 to come to your house, well,
Yeah.
somebody, contractor from up there is not gonna come to somebody down here for $15. And same as delivering goods, I mean, the farther you go, the higher you pay.
And I will say the one, he is interested in working with the customers, if he can put together a package and put together a route. But he has to figure, well, he's probably gonna have to add a truck, he's probably gonna have to add some people, and that's not easy today.
I've seen where it doesn't get to that utility thing, but a kind of a cooperative approach with the
Quasi.
various cities and the county getting together.
McPherson County has that.
Mhm.
That's why I think they do so well. Because it's not really a government thing, and it's not really a private thing, it's kind of somewhere in the middle. It's-
Quasi.
Yeah.
And the citizens just know if I want it picked up, and I want to know that it's been disposed of, and I don't have to worry about it than putting it at a certain location once a week or whatever. That's what they do, and they pay the freight for that.
And the county kind of gets involved because they kind of help
Yep.
with the transfer station, they help with certain areas, but they're also still private.
Yep, we help facilitate as a
Yeah.
broker almost more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah. The guy over at McPherson could teach you a lot. Oh, John.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah. He's a wealth of knowledge.
And north of there, several others going that direction have done that. It's plausible, keeps us out of the full utility side of it, but it does allow the cities to get involved as well in doing it. And they all get to individually, they have home rules, so they get to sign up.
But fast or?
No, no, you're not gonna snap your fingers to do that overnight.
No.
But it's it's something for us to look at as an option.
You still have to have someone manage that.
County clerk usually takes that on. It's just one of those statutory things.
Oh, Brad, you didn't get very far.
You might just give him the directive to
Directive?
not to say that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, apparently then, maybe McPherson County has developed this years ago and it's been a.
Yeah, they would be a good almost, yeah.
And they don't have competition in that county then for trash?
They do a little, I think, up on the north end.
Yeah, I mean, someone else can come in.
Okay.
Yeah, but but as those fall out, like, they've picked up more territory.
Another one that we can call that does this all over, those guys are pretty aggressive about it. Knisley Brothers are out of Reno County, do a lot of the small communities. They have made inroads. They now, let's see, who do they have? They have most of them. They have one or two of the ones I represent. It used to be nothing but Waste Connections out of Wichita. Then these guys started really infiltrating that. I think maybe Heston and several of the others. And they do some, they roll through Newton and do accounts there because you can't be exclusive to that extent, even though we have a city service. They also work in town. You see their trucks. And they have the wherewithal, it appears, to come out and try to make something like that work as well.
Huh.
So you can opt out of your Newton city service?
Yeah, there's where they're in town. If you
take
choose to
whoever
want to
you
have
want to
someone else
feed.
pick it up. Yep.
From what city bill?
Well, it's, I mean, because you're not.
They won't pick mine up because the container's too big.
Well, that's just the way it was. I mean, when people started saying you're getting taxed twice, because it's, you're getting paid for a city tax and you're getting paid for the county tax. Well, no, the county is actual disposal. The city is trash service.
Yeah, picking it up.
Yeah.
So you're not getting taxed twice. You can opt out and just not have a trash bin there.
But you can't opt out of disposals.
No.
No.
No,
That's
not
the
if we're gonna
tax.
maintain a transfer station or some type of disposal system.
Is that something to explore?
I can make that phone call. I'm curious. anyway.
Gather some information. I would be interested, at least learning about it. I don't know if we can do anything.
Yeah.
Learning about what?
County clerk handling.
Oh, man.
I don't volunteer,
Anybody
the
hear
county
me?
counselor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, is that Kent?
Yeah, my Zoom link didn't work, so I just called him.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kent. You got any
Hey.
comments?
Yeah, just walked in the door.
We can start over.
We're talking about trash services, Kent.
Yeah, did you, do you have the list of, customers that were, canceled?
No, we just have potential alternatives for trash
Yeah,
pickup.
I have all of the addresses. They wouldn't give me names, but I do have the addresses. But I talked to, Evan Sharp, who is the manager down there at Wichita, and we had a pretty long conversation, and of course, he didn't want to take any of the blame. It's the same situation as we have: lost drivers and availability of parts.
Yeah.
So,
First to go is
also
police
talked to him about the, city contract. Tampa, the way I understand it, Durham, Tampa, Lincolnville had 1-year extensions, of which he didn't have the expiration dates on, but he said when they expire during this coming year, they would be canceled also.
But they're not in this
Yeah.
round, so it's next round.
So we haven't got the whole snowball yet then.
There's
In
even
fact.
more.
No, it's gonna keep snowballing.
Okay.
Pretty much anything in this direction is going to be.
I have an individual that's coming in to meet with the commission next week about a startup for a new service in Marion County.
Okay. I guess, I mean, more than welcome to hear, and so that the public could hear that, you know, maybe to help him. I don't know what our role is here, Kent, but,
yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I say I don't know what our role is so far, but, we need to watch it, see what we can do to help.
Well, what he is, this individual now is in the permitting process. So, you know, I don't know what kind of time frame, he didn't know what kind of time frame, but I'm guessing that with cancellations starting next Monday, you know, we're gonna have a lot of people with no service for probably a number of months at best, unless someone has an idea of, you know, who might be interested in picking it up.
Okay. Any other comments here at this point, what Kent has said?
I could call some of the smaller companies like Harrington uses M&K, and they're on this list. They might take on those other towns because they do Lost Springs, they do some of the smaller ones in the area.
But the other towns, have they been canceled yet, or is this when they're a year from now, or whenever their thing comes due?
They come due at various times.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as the permitting goes, do we have any capability to the emergency use?
I did do a little bit of research on some of the other companies that are around, and really only found two. The one at Lost Springs,
That's
and the closest mixed one is Nisley Brothers out of Hutchinson.
That's what I was just
They
mentioning.
pick up as close as Heston.
And they are always interested, Kent. They give bids to almost all the cities I represent on an annual basis, and tend to be pretty competitive in the service.
I haven't had time to contact him, but really those are the only two other services that are even in the vicinity.
Are you back here in Kansas now, or are you still out in Colorado?
No, I just walked into my house.
Oh, okay. So, I'm just going to ask you, did you want to go ahead, since you've done so much calling, do you want to talk to Nisley's yourself, or did you want somebody else to?
No, I can call them.
Okay.
But you know, I would kind of like to hear from the individual that wants to start up locally, because that'd be a win-win for all of us, I think.
Yeah, if he can make it float.
So, but he will be on the agenda next Monday.
And I think one other comment that you and I talked about, Kent, was the point that Waste Connections does not bring all of their trash to Marion County transfer station. And so
no, I don't know about in the south part of the county, but I don't believe any of the trash from the northern part of the county ever went to the transfer station.
So that's the snowball effect that I'm concerned about.
Yeah,
you know,
we could have a huge pickup in trash coming into the transfer station.
Correct. That's
Another truck driver.
so. Well, thank you for being. You know, I don't know if you's first, Dave's first, who's first, but you know, it's a problem that we all need to think about, and we also need to get in touch with here too. So, any other comments from anybody? Kent, keep us informed.
Okay.
And thank you for getting back to Kansas so we can put some more workload on you.
Well, I guess if I'd have got up and left earlier, I'd have probably made it.
That's all right. Okay. Thank you. And I just
okay. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
All right.
I just think that we may need to really get Josh in and
Josh knows about this deal over first too. Him and I went over together, and he told me about some of these things. So he's definitely more educated than I am.
Right. Okay. I don't know where to leave us at. I mean, I don't see us do anything right now.
Other than gathering information, I really would like to check on the county side of it, because we're gonna have to put it together if we do that. So I'll probably call McPherson County. I'm gonna call Nices anyway, because I wanna see how far they'll come.
Yeah.
They seem to be willing to, they center in Reno County, but they go all over.
Yeah.
And don't seem to be averse to doing that.
Well,
M&K is smaller.
And M&K, if those towns that can't list it off, well, that ties directly into
Yeah,
their area.
yeah.
If they knew, at this point, they don't know that.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'd be interested in hauling our recycling back when they come out.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's impossible.
I'm just trying to drag all the trash to
There you go.
to the transfer station, take, and then the.
They're not running empty and they're getting paid for it.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
There may be more options here than what we think, huh? Does anybody know M&K very well?
I think Brad probably
I
has the
do.
best relationship.
The owner comes in and makes his presentation annually
Okay.
over in these towns over there that I represent.
I think he needs to be alerted of what
Yep.
we know. Yeah.
I'll talk to him.
Okay.
I'm always looking for an angle, always.
And that may more interest somebody more.
Speak up.
than-
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Or maybe make a statement as much as anything. Where I previously lived, it was very competitive in the trash business. There were several trash companies. And I agree with what's been said, is if you have the towns, then that's the gravy. They'll pick up your
Yeah.
rural stuff too. I know Hillsborough has a lot invested in what they have going on with that. Would it be worth reaching out to Marion? I know that's been a discussion several times with routes and number of people operating trucks and expenses. Is it time you look at Florence and Marion and some of the
There's
smaller
discussion
communities
there.
and say, you know, if you stop charging through the city for trash service, can we bring Bill's Trash Service, whoever? Will they be willing to come into this town and, you know, have a week's route in our communities? You know, would that be,
They
there's
were
money in
discussing
trash.
cost factors too.
There's money in collecting trash. You just have to get
Laborers.
enough
Farts.
Mhm.
to make it worth coming in for. So I don't know if reaching out to communities within the county.
Where is it possible the cities would be wanting to expand their bubble? At least it would take that many.
I mean, Florence does it with the lake, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they do that because it's on the way.
Yeah.
If you look at that.
Yeah, there's some options. Hopefully we'll hear from somebody that's got some interest. If it's profitable, there ought to be somebody, reading it in the newspaper and saying, hey, let's get over there.
Well, the first thing everybody wants is information.
Yeah.
And that's what we're still grappling with, is
Yeah, 'cause we
trying to
don't know.
get the information. We don't know what customers, we don't know what routes.
But you don't have the help to run the equipment.
Yeah.
You can't bid on it.
Yeah. That's, our job is gonna be get help for to run the transfer station.
Our job's gonna get that help.
Yeah.
That's
Or
road and bridge.
something you can afford. These guys are demanding fees or charges now that are really kind of take your breath away.
Well, that and, you know, a resident is already paying through the county X amount of dollars, that's to operate the thing, so. And if we get more than, let's just say Peabody, you know, that's a pretty good little load. And you get a couple of towns up there come in, well, it's just 3-4 more loads a week or a month or whatever. I don't know, it's gonna be more than that, 3 more loads a week.
Just one more trailer load a week going out of it.
Oh, it's,
Instead of 5, we'd have 7 or 8.
yeah, it depends on, yeah.
Wish we had a landfill.
It was, but nobody would do it.
And nobody sees what's coming in 20 years
It's
either.
just a mile north here.
I don't know what to say, guys. I mean, I just, personally, we've acknowledged it, and
Well,
I think we just don't let it down. Don't-
You've given gather information.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing this week.
Yeah.
And next week, we've got potential new persons coming
Yeah.
in.
But it does
That's all we
interest
can
me
do at this point.
to know that there may be a couple more cities to,
Yeah.
you know,
That changed everything in my mind.
to help start somebody in some.
Because that does, that, if you're just doing the rural pickup, I can't ask anyone to just do that.
Yeah.
That's
And
not fair.
drive 5 miles, pick up trash.
But if they can pick up some towns along the way, then it gets a little more interesting. Okay.
So, next, commission discussion on ARP Infrastructure Funds.
I verified the lost revenue, except that raised some other questions for me, so I've got, so I do agree with the 961 number they had, after we went back through the process of what they did. But then what that process was led me to question the last 4 years before, which we have to also track, so I'm waiting for some more answers on that,
Okay.
just as an update for you.
He's waited.
Yeah, I'd say let's start with employees and maybe Travis can.
Okay.
Or did you have input, or you just want to listen?
I'm mainly here to listen. I can,
Oh, okay.
if
I
you
think
have a
he-
question,
He threw his
on my plug.
plug, that's what it was,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, we didn't cut him out,
Okay.
no.
I just
And-
wanna
and
listen,
that's
all.
definitely an avenue that we are looking at.
Sure.
Framework, right? Framework
Right,
has to be
right.
finished.
Well, and that's that, I asked for this session and, well, everybody kind of chipped in on it too. We need to come up with a plan of how we're going to use this, how to best use those funds for the county and the employees and the citizens. Tina is right now in the middle of working on the framework of the policies. All the policies need to be in place, and everything in place before we start spending, but once that framework's done, then we need to be ready to move with a plan moving forward on how we're gonna best use those funds.
Okay, number one, we've heard of, since he's sitting here, we'll make him number one. We've heard that before, long before we heard about employees, and that's ambulances being COVID
Yep.
ambulances, so we've heard about that.
The one thing I want to throw out there, I think I did catch it, was any of these funds used basically become property of the federal government. So if you were ever to sell them again, those funds would need to go back to the feds.
No, the vehicle would have to go back to the feds.
Yeah.
The-
So that's something to keep in mind.
We
You
could
know,
never, we
like
could
a-
never sell it.
So like a building, probably, well, I've never seen it happen, but the county's never really gotten rid of a building.
Right.
So that is a solid asset that you never really have to worry about dealing with the feds again down the road. So some of these items that we think about, that's gotta be part of your equation too.
And I think on the next thing that I can remember, being number two to me, was hearing of another county using some funds for health department
Yes,
buildings.
yes.
And so.
Drive-through.
So, yeah, so I've heard of that, but that was through the other, deal. Then I think the biggest thing sticks in my mind next was probably employees, was number three. I'm just going over the order we've heard that counties have done something for, things. So employees becomes one of my list of things that's on this list here. And then, due to other things, maybe a building could be tied back in with health department somehow to take care of health department or something to that effect.
So you said health department building twice. That was number
Yeah.
2, and now you
Yeah,
said it's number 4.
no, I'm just saying that maybe the building could be tied back into that somehow with the health department.
Do you mean a storage building? Like,
COGS / health department building.
Yeah, but we're also looking, emergency management, right?
Yeah.
Would fit into COVID. We're at a loss right now for a building to store some of our emergency management for the region, not just for
Yeah.
ourselves,
Which is emergency equipment.
which is housing federal equipment
Yeah.
that we can. So,
So there's things, there's 4, and I know there's a list of more, but what we've heard, well, another one that was kicked out around was rural water. I mean, that was the one that was kicked out of.
countywide water was something I heard about early on.
And since we do have 2 cities, actually 3 cities drinking out of our county reservoir out here, East Shore.
2 different,
There's actually 3
waters.
cities. Yeah, two water plants and 3 cities.
2 water treatment facilities.
County Lake. County Lake is drinking out here too.
Yes. Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah. Tina, I got a
Yeah.
question on the SLOSS revenue, like 900,000.
Uh-huh,
I mean, you could take all that out of the general fund.
yeah. You
So that
could
would
use it
take
for
care of the
anything.
first check.
Most of it, not most, little, was it 1.2, 1.3?
I'll find out
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
how much for
Oh,
you here.
within a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Just 1
Give or take.
I thought it was 1.1 something,
and she goes back 7 years.
1.15.
Right.
I don't
We can
remember.
get, you know, so we really don't have to decide what to spend it
Right.
And then, Tina, do you think there's gonna be, that Scott Lloyd and them will have some sort of list that we might see of other counties? Think? Is that?
I don't know, if they,
I think we need to be thinking what we need the most and see if it fits the criteria.
right.
I think that's a good idea, because a lot of
Just to
times we
see.
get ideas from other counties, but I know.
Yeah, we have
what we-
1.154 is the first half, so the second half will be the same. So it's just over 2.3,
And
2.38.
we wanna make sure we don't, and that's the reason why I asked for the infrastructure to be tied, because what could be bought through infrastructure, we don't want to use ARPA funds on and then make our job harder down the road on infrastructure.
Yeah, our amount is 2,308,460 ish. So 2.3.
What's he doing?
Always writing the book.
He's writing the book.
Yeah.
He's keeping notes. That's gonna be handy.
Not just little notes, these are.
He's an old man.
They'll give us a target to look at.
I don't have to know my specs.
That's what I got.
Um,
Is that, what did I miss? So I know Randy had the next one, but I thought it fell under the building.
You put, ambulance, health department.
Yeah, that's just there,
Building.
just there, you got it.
Rural water, employee.
You don't have employees up this year.
Yeah, I tried to put it at the top.
Yeah,
Yep.
good politics.
So.
I would still like to say public access
Yeah.
and security, like the cameras on the door, automation, those kind of things would be good.
Public access, so it needs to be.
It's a lot easier up here.
Yeah, I think that's a project
Much
that needs to
smaller,
happen and it's
though.
gonna be hard to
Yeah.
fund.
Is it?
Put them glasses on, Dave.
Well, then I can't read it. So it's spelled halfway close.
And public access could tie in.
That's, I don't know if that's on your list or not.
It's
Yeah.
on that list.
Was there any health department outreach coming out of this that they was talking about or anything? Besides ambulances or anything like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot, it is for public health, so.
Yes, I mean, that was.
But if they have specific things, the issue that we had initially was that we have a lot of other grants, and that there was a period of time where they weren't really sure how they were gonna spend all the grant money we had. But I need to check in on some of that,
Okay.
because like I said, that I'm not seeing that income coming in, so. But yes,
That's down there,
health would
public
definitely be.
access, under that public deal, I'd put a parentheses, Dave, safety, public safety for this, I don't know, access, safety.
I'm gonna put and.
And safety, okay, yeah. For COVID safety.
Oh, man, that is getting slow.
Let's get farther away from it.
Desk here. All right.
Put it on the knee, it was easier.
What it is? Okay. Over the small table here.
Well, yeah.
Now, just think about that, does the public access fall into the infrastructure? Because there's some infrastructure that's tied in with broadband, and it's, infrastructure is
You're gonna
tied
get
in
into
with.
technology, which is what I was just wondering.
And then also
Government-
storage
government
building,
broadband.
does it fall into infrastructure? I'm just kicking around here, we wanna make sure we use the right pot of money to pay for the
Well,
right.
right, so back up and help me, Jonah, when you're talking about infrastructure, are you thinking of pulling it out of a future infrastructure pot?
Well, the infrastructure's coming down the pike.
Okay,
It
so
was
that's-
approved, just don't know how much we'll get.
So I would say yes, future.
Yeah.
Okay. But then, I agree with you, we need to pull out of the right pot.
Down bottom, correct, parentheses somewhere, put infrastructure
Well, if
funds.
to me, I don't know.
Well,
I'm gonna start a whole.
I just leave your ARP there, and infrastructure can just be down at the bottom, like Randy said, just like you have ARP, and then down on your dash lines, if we figure out that it's an ARP, we'll put an A on top of the dash, or put an I on top of the
There
dash.
you go.
Yeah, something.
Oh, we could put A's or I's.
Yeah.
I gotta remember how to spell.
Give
Probably
yourself some
with
space for some more now, Dave.
Probably with the red pen at that.
Yeah.
Well, the whole idea of the exercise is to start narrowing down our
Yes.
scope.
Yes.
So we're not
Yes.
looking at the ocean or the beach, we're looking at a little
Right.
more narrow.
I mean, on the infrastructure, I think we need to keep in mind the dam.
Yes.
Yes.
That, what's?
So what I'm saying is if we got money for the infrastructure and the whole pot gets ate up by the dam,
Yeah. why not?
then everything else falls back into our ARP.
Right.
Isaac passed that on, the dam deal that we heard, that don't sound good, the dam deal.
Yeah.
But the funds for the dams,
Okay.
he passed that on to the guy that's working on the dam,
Okay.
doing that. So he passed that on to just for, see if he had any knowledge of it and stuff.
I mean, it's just something, there's a bunch of different directions all
Yeah,
this
he-
could go.
You are,
Is that right?
yeah.
Yep.
It's close enough.
Good job.
As long as I know what you're trying to say, that's all that matters, I don't care.
Well, then I would have put a slow brick.
Yeah.
Just bricks.
Spell check can take care of it.
Dry highway, I understand a highway is infrastructure.
That's right.
Broadband too, anymore.
That's true.
I don't know where that's headed, but I sure hope it gets a lot of funds out to a lot of people because it comes, I mean, you've seen what happened up north in Dave Mueller's area with, when they
Made everybody else jealous.
put,
At least made
oh
me
yeah,
jealous.
I mean, when they put fiber optic up.
TCT.
Oh, I didn't know which, we,
Do
yeah.
you want to put the dam on there?
That don't hurt.
I'd start with that under
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Well, I just gotta remember that the dam needs to take precedence in the infrastructure.
Yep.
so
Yep. Because there aren't any other pots to pull out of.
Not for that one.
Can't think of any big things now that I'm.
Okay, I'm gonna come back to another thing Jonah said, that if you use ARP funds for, say, an ambulance or a building, the federal government still retains ownership.
Yeah, if you ever go
If
to get
you
rid
ever
of it.
sell it.
Sell.
So you
So-
can never trade it off.
So for a building, you're basically safe, because you're not
Yeah.
gonna,
Yeah.
Not gonna sell
but
it.
an ambulance, you would eventually trade off. Or not.
Yeah.
I'm asked Travis.
I,
maybe you're
I would,
right.
I would say not necessarily.
Okay.
Not, in my experience with things that were gained through federal money.
Right.
That is absolutely correct to a point in time. The federal government could care less how many 20-year-old ambulances are being gotten
Right.
rid of. Now, that's not saying,
It couldn't
I
change.
don't have, yeah, I don't have the crystal ball. But when you look at a four-wheel drive pickup chassis and our own box, the pickup could be retained by the county.
You could part it
The
out.
box could be refurbished and put back on another chassis. So it doesn't really scare me. There's certainly
There's
workarounds
options.
for this,
But
absolutely.
it's something to keep in mind.
It is something to
Rather than
keep-
just buying a complete unit.
Correct.
You'd
We-
wanna,
I've seen 15-year-old items that were bought with federal money and they're reported, they're logged. The Kansas Highway Patrol comes in and does an inventory. And when they're 15 years old and they're ending their life cycle, they look at you and go, we don't want them back.
Yeah.
Get rid of them. So
So-
it's just historically.
It'd just be an extra step
Correct,
potentially.
correct.
Or
But yes,
more.
it's definitely noteworthy, Jonah, I
But
would disagree.
then following up, if we follow on our route to purchase a COVID ambulance with those funds, doing it in the way that you've laid out for us would be the appropriate way to do that, rather than the complete, you're giving us options.
Correct.
That's where I was trying to get.
When you get rid of it, you port it out.
Well, you could still use it.
You buy it
You
complete.
use it until it.
Yeah.
Or utilize the
can.
lost revenue funds and then don't worry about the federal requirements.
right.
There you go. So then you don't put that under the.
Well, it would still be under ARP, but it would be under the lost
Right.
revenue piece.
Right, it'd be the
Out
general.
of this.
Yes.
Well, I should almost put this a different number.
You ready for this web to
Put a
get
slash,
real tight?
angle slash in between there, so we know that's different. Dave?
Well.
Well, it's part of that.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
all,
9.61.
Subtract the
The
961
961.
from the 2.3, so I have
Oh.
that net number. So I have a
Okay.
net.
Now you're gonna
Oh,
start to get down
gosh.
to a messy balance sheet.
You're gonna screw it up.
I'm gonna really mess it
Oh, you put it on the table, so you write it.
Oh, and this is public.
Huh?
That's what I.
Oh, okay.
1.1 is halfway, so 900.
it's gonna be what, 1.348. If you do 2.308 and take the 960 off, it's 1,348 difference.
Okay.
And that's still, those numbers can change too.
Right.
You're still
Yeah.
running through all that.
Yeah.
I think it might change again because they were just looking at the 1 year of this one calculation and weren't considering previous years of that same calculation. So there's gonna be probably a change, but I don't know exactly what it will.
Well, I can guarantee you it's gonna change.
Safe number to bank on, or to play with numbers in your head to start getting some headway would be less than that number, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously. Less is always gonna be safer.
Is there anything else, Dave, that you're wanting us to, I mean, our eyes are open now.
Right?
Well,
So I draw little eyeballs.
Well, the whiteboard helps.
Okay.
I have
No.
visuals, I want
Yeah,
to see
Firm
it.
believer in the
Yeah.
whiteboard.
And I cannot remember numbers and.
But until we hear more information or find different rules, the only other thing I think of is coming up with a number that we think maybe, I don't know where Tina's headed with that, how many employees that would be receiving that.
Is there,
Into that area, how many?
Well, that's what, for me, this is number one.
so is there any
Can't come out of another pot.
Is there any other items that
It
need to
could.
be
Well,
on this?
this is the best pot for this to come out of.
Okay.
Is the federal government's not gonna come and take that back.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Right.
But you still have to pay tax on it.
Yes. It doesn't matter how else you do it, it's gonna. Okay, Jonah, what were you going?
Is there any other items?
Other items?
Whether they be infrastructure, whether they be anything, just so,
Yeah, that we wanna make this list.
yeah. So we keep
Tina
track.
got us on the public access and safety, which is one
Yeah,
of our
so now you can
priorities.
make some space for Brad over there, because we put it on this.
Yeah. Oh. We hadn't thought about that, have we?
Yeah, I've been looking over there, the digitization
Well,
too.
digitization would fall under it.
Right, but does it,
But I envision a couple of these items making that number disappear in a heartbeat.
oh yeah.
It's gone.
As far as it applies to ARP, it's just.
That's nice thing we can always add. Put the list in here for Brad.
No, we're not paying him any of these funds.
That's another. No, jobs for him to do.
Yeah, it's pretty much
We just
dealt
paid
with
him the
that.
other day. We withheld his check for a second, but we got him caught up.
We didn't pay
We
him
got
twice,
his
right?
attention.
We
Got his
didn't-
attention.
Yeah.
What? You need to be paid?
Okay.
Let's say right now that if this was our list and that number up top, how would you go about picking out how much goes where, how much goes there?
I'd go with what is your number one need. See how much money's left. What's your number two need? Because money's not gonna come around again, so you might as well take care of it in your needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the more long-term it is, has to weigh into it.
Yeah.
And what you're short.
Okay.
I mean, that's just me.
There is a rating system that you could use, that WSU kind of provided.
We have to have these funds used by
We
3
got-
years?
4 years.
4 years? So if we just put a little money to this and a little money to that, and then all of a sudden we're committed to buying all these things and making up the difference within 4 years. So that's my only thing is make a solid purchase, all in one and done, rather than a little bit for this and a little bit for that. Unless we want to come up with the balances.
In any one of those issues up there, would you consider, this money only, like you said, only comes around once, but in any of those issues up there, would you say 60%, 40% county?
For me.
I'm saying dual purpose paying, not just take it all out of that. 60% county or 60%.
Oh, yeah, matching funds of some kind.
So,
Not really matching.
thinking of like tax
Contributions,
dollars.
yeah.
Think of it as matching now. That-
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay, using it as
Local
match.
funds.
Well, then, sure, a lot of these could be, potentially, well, definitely, potentially.
And then my question to Tina, to keep it, and Brad, and whoever, is can that even happen? Whether you use 80% of that money for an item and then the county kick in 20% on something?
Well, I'm sure it can happen.
Okay, with.
It's up to the accountant to make it
Yeah,
work.
but you're gonna have to,
Why?
figure it out and document everything, and track it.
I mean, if you're gonna do something like this, I would think you'd wanna do all from one pot.
Yeah.
You wouldn't wanna split.
Well, yeah, we could.
I was
Like you
looking
said.
at Tina.
I think
For
the
accounting
more that you
purpose.
split things up, the more complicated it all
Right,
gets.
complicated.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, it's all doable.
yeah.
But the only thing I was getting at was the chassis
Oh, okay.
versus
now-
the box. So you would want to split that in
Okay.
my mind.
Okay.
'Cause you
Certainly
want-
could.
The feds could own the box, because we could keep that for a lot longer than we can the chassis.
Right.
So we would buy the chassis, trade it, and upgrade it.
Or move it to the fleet
Yeah.
somewhere else in the county. I mean, it's of value at that point, yes.
The other thing, the ambulance you're describing in my mind is a long-term use ambulance.
Yes.
I mean, it'll rotate through, stay in the fleet a long time. It could go
Absolutely.
to backup easily for a
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
service period,
For sure.
compared to some of our previous ambulances.
Now,
We would
with,
never sell it, it just transferred to
with,
finance.
with
But
that,
I'm just saying a longer life, I'm not saying.
Listen.
with that being said,
Yes.
our ambulances now are 80 and 100,000 miles. They are not quite 4 years old versus 2014 model that has 60,000 miles on it that started its life in one of the outlying stations. They're just not putting the miles on it.
Sure.
This one would certainly move down,
Yeah.
you know, at 70,000 and be put somewhere that's, it's not getting 10,000 miles a year on it, you know? So, yeah, it would be.
It's got a long life.
It would be long life. I think the dependability, the serviceability of the pickup chassis is hands down your money ahead on that.
Another question for while you're up, I want to, your friend Randy, when you want to get the fleet on a regular rotation? Get away from having
No,
group.
absolutely. I understand the commission, not all of you were on the commission at the time, but purchased 2 of them. I would certainly never want, I shouldn't say never. That is not my intention. My intention would be on a rotation every 3 years. You're getting a new ambulance and moving one down. Now we look at the price of ambulances going up, I have to reevaluate how that works. We gotta look at the mileage we're putting on. I mean, it really needs to be reevaluated entirely. When I first got here, it looked like a 3-year rotation would make sense. The price of that ambulances went up 40%. So that changes the way I look at things.
That's where, again, I'm at, well, does it make sense to buy, since we have multiple years, to even, if we decide this is the pot we want to pay for one in 2022 and then do another budgeted in 24, 23?
I think that sounds wonderful.
If we decide to go that way.
Well, and I mean, the reality is buying 2 at a time, then you wear 2 of them out at the same time.
Right.
That's really what happened.
Yeah.
And
It's not a good scenario.
where I was, we were doing it every 2 years. Well, this station got one, then this station, then this one, then this one. And it kept you in putting money back into capital improvement, and you could manage it. To buy 2 of them, they're both wore out. And you gotta do it again, and now the prices went 40%. That's
So
a
what
big
if you
number.
take one of the new ones and put it back to the smaller used ones and bring that 60,000 out and let the newer, let it be?
Completely feasible.
Except it's probably not as updated.
Does not have a $40,000 power load power cot unit.
You want the best ambulance at the highest use.
That's really the nuts and bolts of
Yeah,
that.
but, I mean, you got a budget to look at for 3 years down
I
the road.
want the new one to pick me up.
Yeah. It's gonna be in Marion and Hillsborough.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not gonna be a T-bug.
So anyway,
Yes.
How many have power lifts?
2
Two
power lifts.
currently.
Currently,
And they're
and
the
there's
2
money in
highest
this
use.
year's budget, or was intended in 2022's budget, not this year, to add a power lift to one, and then a new ambulance.
So
We would send either Marion, actually it would be better to send Marion's unit to the other location.
Okay.
And the new ambulance comes with the power load. So
There would,
we would have 4.
the
but
plan is 4 power lifts next year, would be it.
with 1 ambulance and 1 power load, correct. We would have a total of 4, and that just happens to be the number of ambulances we're running.
Okay.
And at $40,000 is a lot of money, but it's one
Worth
back
every-
injury
Yep,
away from.
yep, yep.
I'm trying to remember what they said about the employee pay. Was it, that one was approved, ARPA, or was that due through lost revenue?
With the changes that came through and that were like close to being approved when they were here, she said that it was able to be done through ARP without having to use the lost revenue.
Okay, yeah, okay, let's
Go back to April of
Right.
2019.
The one issue that we have is that you're not, you can do premium pay, you have to do it, they're suggesting do it as an hourly amount
Hourly.
for, but it's not supposed to include any remote work.
Right.
And I don't know that we really tracked
Differences?
the, any time that was spent remote. We did have some departments that did remote work for part of the time, or rotated or whatever, and I don't know that we really tracked that, so that's gonna be a hard piece to put in place.
But you did.
If you have to exclude the remote work, and we didn't exclude it, I mean, we never really tracked it because the people were still working. We just counted it as hours
A
worked.
couple other quick questions before I lose that train of thought. So if it's remote work, it's excluded. Are all employees eligible or only certain employees eligible?
I believe all.
Both.
It could go either way.
All are.
Not part-time.
Okay.
They have to be full-time.
I don't think so.
They still have to be with you.
Right, you just have, you wouldn't wanna pay it to people that aren't with the county.
Sure, I guess, yep, those need to get the exceptions down, because they need to still be with you.
Some counties have adopted policies that it was only public-facing positions that receive the extra, because people that are out driving or doing construction or whatever are not dealing with the public face-to-face with the risk of exposure. But that's not a requirement anymore, that it has to be public-facing folks.
Because just my opinion would be all employees. Because otherwise, we're back in that same hole where.
Picking and choosing.
Yeah.
Right, I think whatever you do needs to be applied equitably.
Thank you.
When you say all employees, you're talking about all who worked from,
Well, then we have to
you know,
narrow the
April to March
parameters.
of, you know, for that year and still work for you? Because that's what I read in a lot of these
Yep.
counties. Harvey County, for
Yeah.
example, did a $4 per hour,
Yep.
but they had to be in that 12 months and still be employed.
Yes, yes.
So-
That has to be
It's simple.
understood up front.
But I thought remote, I thought you had to have that
They did.
separated out
They did.
on the remote. As far as.
They want, you're not supposed to use these funds to reimburse remote work.
Right.
And my situation is, in our bookkeeping and timekeeping, we didn't track that.
Could you just use
That's something we'll have to look into,
Percentage.
if we can do a calculation of,
Is that
I mean,
something,
and-
right? Do that one.
Yeah.
That's a question that can be asked.
Get an exception,
And then
but
there's
can't
so
remote
times
work,
four, that
because they
would
work
be
just as hard.
Yeah.
Well, I agree, I'd say that.
yeah, I don't understand why it would be like
No, I
that.
think
I think the idea is because they are looking at the funds being an incentive
And
because
again,
of the
yeah,
time
in
spent
terms of
in
what
being
they-
exposed
Yeah, for higher
potentially.
risk.
Right. If they work
Yeah.
remotely, it was more of a challenge
Shown about a
than
lot.
working in the office.
Yeah, but if you're afraid of the
In
virus,
some way,
800,000.
somebody that's out there in the midst of it is what they're looking at,
That's
rewarding them for being essential.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just
keeping-
gonna throw it out.
For keeping the country going.
Right. And technically speaking,
That pot's gone.
our county
Oh,
folks
yeah.
are essential. I mean, because your
You-
government doesn't
you
shut
look at
down.
6 different ways.
Yeah.
Well, that helps me, because that
Because there's still
question
some
was
people
still in
who
my
won't go back
mind,
to
where
work,
it was
they're
just
still scared.
frontline workers.
And it's whatever the county whatever you guys
So you
designate,
have
it's
flexibility.
up to you
Just 'cause
they
how
don't
you
wanna
want
work.
that to look.
And would you want to ride a train 4 hours a day to work?
I think this capability is here to stay. They ought to use it most that they can.
Travis's guys can work from remote.
No.
I mean, we can probably figure it out to a pretty close degree, but it's gonna take a lot of kind of digging in and seeing what that looks like.
I got something off the subject, we'll forget about it. Is there any way that the county could do a survey of how many people work from home? Because every new person I talk to is out and working from home full-time.
Do you mean do a survey of how many people want to work from home?
No, that are working.
Countywide or just for the county?
Oh,
Or the
you're
county,
not
you know,
talking in this
We got so many
organization.
working people.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what, okay.
I'm sorry, I was confused
This
about
is,
what you were
this
asking.
is completely off the subject,
Sorry.
yeah, and then it's, Dave, ask that question later, some other time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget.
Confused.
Yeah.
Write
It is a
down
good
for your
question.
Commission
Yeah.
comment.
I mean,
It's a good question.
everybody I'm meeting more
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm working from home
Yeah.
now,
So.
full-time.
Dave Mueller, are you somewhat done questioning yet?
I felt it was productive, 20 minutes.
Okay.
I got questions answered in my mind. I think we narrowed the priorities a little bit. I hope.
And, do find a place on the wall, put that white thing so we can look at it, because.
If you want to change it out with the one that's my list,
Oh.
that's fine.
Oh, no. Well, we could erase a few since we moved them to the new board.
Yeah.
That's.
We'll get a whole new one. We can actually put
But I don't
There's-
think we erased any of yours.
No.
It was just ours. We just transferred ours.
What is 6?
Yep.
Oh.
We have
There you
one.
go. Get your pat on
I
the
feel
back
better.
for the day.
Okay, so, it was very good,
Yeah.
Dave. I mean, that's what we do need to open our eyes to and see. And I just talked to Brad here, and some of the things Harvey County did, you know, I don't know how Marion can do it, but, did that at the same rate that they did, but anyway, it's eye-opening if you, I don't know if we have 100 full-time employees.
Yes.
Yeah, we were full-time employees.
Well, we were,
Yeah.
well,
because of EMS, we were,
Yeah.
but I don't know right now,
Yeah.
with some of the ones we've lost, yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay, so anyway, I'm just thinking, whatever number you come up with times 100, and that shoots what you said, that.
And then 2,080 hours?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Eric Meyer commented that Census Bureau may have the actual numbers already about how many are working from home.
Good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you,
Can I hear
Dave.
our
Thank you,
story
Eric.
time?
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know where to look.
Okay,
That's not, more people used to.
yeah. I'd like to move
Thank
on.
you, Travis.
Thank you, guys.
If we're done with that, I'd like to move on and take care of executive session for,
I also
Well,
have the two little things.
People
oh, you guys
Yeah,
have.
the land bank.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, let's
So-
do that. Then we'll. Go ahead.
it can be
No,
later.
just get it done.
Okay, so on the land bank,
There's another, because they can take all games.
That's all right.
Uh,
They miss
no,
it.
it's okay.
Hello.
I just didn't want anybody to miss.
Nope.
So on the land bank, the bylaws are ready to go, but there are certain things that are required to happen. And so there's kind of a list of things that you all are gonna have to really do at your, either before or at your
At your
organizational meeting.
Okay.
And so, I didn't bring the list of all that with me. Hold on. Yes, I did.
You're gonna have to nominate a chair. Right, that, those types of things.
Right, well, that, but other things
Adoption
too that you're not
bylaws.
thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just the structure. I mean, yes, you would have to assign and vote on your officers. You're also, we would always need a separate agenda, which is not that big of a deal. This policy says that every year you have to do a resolution, setting the meeting dates, times, and then you also have to do a budget,
Mhm.
which has to be approved by the county commission.
Mhm.
I don't know what form that is and how that works.
I-
It's subject to publication like any other budget, and so
I have that form, I think, that we can.
okay. Is it a form that's done through municipal services, or is it?
I don't know where that came from, the state somewhere, and which one, I don't know. I'll be
Okay,
honest, Tina.
so I emailed, municipal services is working from home right now. I emailed them, but I haven't heard back on what form that would go on, or if it's just under the county budget. And if it is, then how do we get that adopted now? Because we've
Yeah.
already adopted the county budget. So, okay.
You got things, yeah.
Uh-huh, we have to do an annual report, which has to be published on or before January 31st.
Mhm.
You have to keep an inventory on your website and publish that inventory once a year. But there's kind of a lot, and then there's our policy references, well, I guess you would need a policy. There was a draft at one point that says how much you're gonna sell properties for generally. There's an application that needs to be developed for people to apply to purchase properties. So there's a lot of things, and this is kind of a big job. It's gonna be kind of a big job managing all these pieces moving forward. I just want you all to know, it's not just this.
Yeah,
There's more things that still have to happen, so.
Most of them, we can form, after you've done them the first time, it's not too bad.
Right.
But Tina's correct. All of the one thing that a lot of these land banks tend to forget is they've got to adopt that budget. They've got to go ahead and bring it before the board. Whether, in a city, it's the same way. That land bank independently has to go before the city commissioner, city council, and have it approved. So much of the time, they forget to get that done in a timely way. That publication is a requirement. All of those forms, I'm trying to think where I got those from, Gina. But anyway, I've got a full set of those. We just have to look to make sure that they fit.
That they make sense.
Yeah, for our purposes.
But you could have the applications also
Mhm.
from other entities,
Mhm.
okay?
And a general example of an inventory,
Okay.
all of those.
I sent out a request on the county listserv,
Okay.
and not very many counties actually are
Doing
doing
it.
land banks just yet,
It's-
mostly cities.
Yep.
So Sedgwick, they don't have one, but I did get some information from Wyandotte. They're combined government, city and county.
And that's where most of that was the genesis of most of this. Wyandotte County is where most of it started.
And so they sent me some of their information. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to let you know, there's gonna be a pretty good checklist of things you need to accomplish at that first meeting. And I could not find in my notes anywhere where we set a December date. I know we talked about it, but I couldn't find what that was. So I would think that you would just do it at your organizational meeting the first Monday in January.
I think that was the discussion.
So that's what I've been working on with that.
Then
And
you
so,
have-
yeah, any forms you have. and you first.
The organizational meeting needs to be probably a little earlier than 11:30.
Yeah. And then you do have to send out a public notice for the meeting, right?
Yeah.
Right.
First meeting.
Right.
So it needs to be.
It's a commission meeting to start with, but then after you get to having your group form, then it's your own meeting,
No, we're starting.
It will
we're
start
starting
as
at
the
11
land bank.
No, it'll be a separate land bank meeting.
Yeah, right.
Separate.
Right.
And then 12:30, we'll go back.
Go back to a regular commission meeting.
Yes, yeah, but I'm talking about to get it started, it's still under commission till we get it started.
No.
I think that the resolution that you did
Okay.
created
already-
it.
it already
So
creates
you're-
us?
creates you,
Yeah.
but then you're
Okay.
gonna have to, on your organizational meeting, pass that resolution as the land bank board.
That's where we have
You're
the
gonna
first
pass the
Monday of every
resolution,
quarter.
you're gonna
Yeah.
elect your people, you're going to.
Organize your officers, go through that whole
organize,
process.
adopt your bylaws.
Yeah, I didn't realize it went, that we did that, you know. I thought it
Commission's
was-
done, so
You've
now
already
land
started.
bank is set up.
So there's,
And-
but there's
and then-
kind of a few pieces and parts that have to happen.
It just sounds a little deep to me. I mean, not that it's undoable, it just sounds time consuming. I think at least 10 o'clock to start that meeting, because it's all the way to 12:30 to, if not 9, I mean,
Fine for me.
I would rather be safe than sorry and not run out of time and then have to go to commission meeting and then stay afterward and pick up pieces.
Right. What do you think? How much time should we allow? 2 hours?
2 hours normally is enough, at least with the city ones that I've done a lot of. And materially, there's not a lot of difference for us as long as in advance it's been reviewed. And like from Tina's perspective, seeing that the forms that we're using are things that she can work with, because the administrative staff still are your county staff, she'll be the one still taking the notes for minute purposes, et cetera.
And if you want to go at 9, we can, I'm sure we'll have plenty of other stuff. We can do a work session for an hour.
I don't know when Bryce will be back.
So,
I just think first round of these,
You're
be
right.
safe.
Yep.
Make sure we get all the I's
And
dotted
that
and
date
T's
looks like it's
crossed.
gonna be January 3rd, unless you designate another day. It's a Monday,
yeah, first Monday
January,
of each quarter.
January 3rd.
Yeah.
That's right.
What's significant about January 3rd?
It's just the first day after the new year, so some
Mhm.
companies have that as a holiday, but the county holiday for New Year's is actually December 31, so
Yeah.
we will be
Could be
open
The 3rd, okay.
on the
that's right.
3rd,
Because New Year's is one day, so it's,
right?
yeah.
So do you want me to put it at 10?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
and then I'll just start on a list and try to get some of these documents and things in place for you to be able to approve and, anyway.
Sign, approve.
Okay. Then the other thing, was the only other thing that I had to discuss with you was the Friday, this coming Friday is our Christmas party. And I wanted to discuss commissioner battle stations here, where you're gonna be, where you would like to be. And so there was just a little quick typed up thing for you as far as the different locations and what we're doing at each location. It'd be great if we could have commissioners helping at each location. And then, everybody be, at the end, go back out there to the link if we can, so. It should be a little quicker moving than last year, because we're not going like lots of
For the town.
That's gonna be
touring
backed up
around.
from here to there.
Yeah, it probably is gonna be backed up, so we're gonna have to be quick. Right, you know?
Just sign us somewhere.
Is there anybody that has a specific preference on where you wanna be?
You tell us.
Yeah, I was at the courthouse last year, and it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I joke, because that's the first position that's done. But the library, oh.
The other location, yeah, location 2.
But location 2 is not very far.
That's true. All right, well, if anyone has a preference, let me know, otherwise we'll just,
You don't just wherever you need me.
we'll get the details worked out probably tomorrow, and I
Time
can
to be
just
there.
let you know.
Set time.
Okay.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Yeah, tell us.
Does anybody want to dress up?
Is the Grinch?
Do you have an outfit like an elf or Santa or
I think that's a
Grinch or
great idea.
Rudolph? Who wants to be Rudolph?
Rudolph.
That would be fun. I think I can find you a bleached
Isn't that just a
nose.
clown with antlers at that point?
The nose man.
You have the red nose and
Red nose
antlers.
and antlers, yep. Maybe a tail.
Didn't we have something at the lake hall? Who was there with me last year?
You guys had some hats
Yeah,
and
we
stuff.
did.
That was
Yeah.
you and Kent, I think.
Yeah, me and Kent was
yeah.
there.
Him and I were here at the
Yeah.
courthouse at the beginning.
Right. Okay, well, if we can find some festive gear
Okay.
for you, then we'll do some.
All right.
Oh dear.
Okay, that's really all I had. I just wanted to remind everybody and make sure that you're okay with wherever.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Guess we're ready for executive session with Brad.
Or did
How
you
many
want to do
minutes?
public comments before?
Could do
Yeah, let's
that
just
and then
do-
just
let's
do
do
this
that.
last.
Public
Public
comments.
forum.
It is forum now.
Public forum.
Public forum.
Yeah, we've done signed that now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, how many times am I gonna say that? Public.
A whole bunch.
Okay, let's do the public forum online, if there's anybody there. We've read one today that's been sent in early, before the meeting started, or right after the meeting started. Is there anybody online?
So if anyone online has a public comment, you can type it in the chat box along with your name and address, or unmute your microphone, and then we can know that you want to speak.
And then name and address only has to be privately sent to the clerk, FYI.
And I'm not seeing.
Don't see anybody showing up. do
No.
we? Okay. Commission comments. Only thing I had was want to make sure that we got it on the deal, and that was Kent's, and he got on there, so that's nothing that I have there for that. I do think we've got some work coming up for the end of the year here yet. First of the year, we're gonna get started off right with the land bank. We've got, I think some of this other stuff here too, Dave. I mean, Dave Mueller, you was sort of wanting to maybe take a look at the employee stuff yet this year.
I'm hoping.
Okay.
That's,
Yeah.
I don't wanna push,
Yeah.
but I would like.
Gotta get the framework first.
Yeah.
It's still April to April, right? And then if anything was
they
gonna
were-
come the following, it would still be April to April. so-
No,
No.
they were saying, they were recommending do April to December,
Yeah.
because you want to look at 1 year
Okay.
of pay
then
separately,
go.
and then you can do January to
When,
December,
when COVID started.
Well,
so. Yeah, it's March or April with when the date is.
So that's the only thing we just got some work ahead of us to keep it going here.
But yes, to answer your question, it would be nice if we could do the premium pay
Yeah.
before the end of the year.
Right.
I think that would be very much appreciated by the employees.
Okay. I think so too. I'd have to agree.
And the commission then has to decide, you're gonna just do one, or you're gonna do two.
Yeah. The other thing that's,
Factors into your rate.
the other thing that's,
I was just gonna mention, you don't have to decide that right now. You
Right.
could
Just do
do
the one.
one,
Well, but
and
it-
then if.
Next
decide-
year.
But if you're only doing one,
Yeah.
Oh, you think that it might be a different. If you
different
did-
number.
Yeah, gotcha.
But see, the new people that got hired this year won't get any. If we did two, they would then.
They'd have to be employed by the April 1st
No.
or before.
I
No.
don't think so.
I think they have to work through that period.
yeah, I mean.
And still be on board.
Right, so if
Still be
there's, so
on.
if you're talking about people that are hired, just,
If you
Yeah,
hire
but
somebody last
but we're
July.
still going on, this whole thing is
July,
still going
July,
on.
December
December.
31st, they would get paid for that.
Yeah.
So
If they was on.
if you did it twice.
Right, we
Okay,
just
so
need
it's
to, we
21
just need
you're
to look
talking about.
into
Okay,
it.
this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll worry about the first.
I wanna worry about the first one.
Long timers.
So you want contract negotiations under attorney-client
privilege.
Yeah, I'm looking here. Contract with attorney-client privilege. Okay. I move that we recess into executive session for how many minutes?
Hour and a half, maybe. I'm just.
I
Let's see.
think I will ask this guy, my directive will be to ask you one more time.
Yeah.
What kind of time limit would you like us?
I think an hour and a half.
Probably, make it 20 just to give us enough time.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. In order to
Really?
discuss attorney-client privilege under attorney-client consultation with our attorney. Number two.
Contract negotiations.
Yes.
Contract negotiations. Okay. Pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, 20 minutes. That's my motion to include Brad, Tina, and the board.
Second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
4-0. I said I just. Say that.
Just a minute here.
These are all signed.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, out of executive session, no decisions. Make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, could you
No.
repeat all that? I didn't have the
Okay.
sound on.
Okay, out of executive session, no decisions.
Thank you.
And with that being said, I make a motion to be adjourned.
Second.
Second by Jonah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 4-0. Thank you, Brad. Bringing stuff to us today.